Do you want to hear my story about the chickens or not? Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry. You're listening to the Two Mikes on a special warm-up live from the O2 Arena in London. We're here with our friends from BetSafe at the first ever Star Sixes international tournament on the Greenwich Peninsula. We've got a star-studded lineup of football legends on the show today, many of them, strangely enough, former Everton players, including Phil Neville, Paul Dickov and Don Hutchison. Plus, we'll be finding out what Porky's got in common with Sebastian Vettel. Apparently, he's very secretive ahead of the British Grand Prix. And we'll have a 1 minute moan as well. 08717 22 33 44. You're listening to the Two Mikes on the warm-up on TalkSport, live from the BetSafe box for the third day of the Star Sixes tournament at the O2 Arena. Mike Porky Parry is here. He's currently transfixed by some cheerleaders who appear to be out on the pitch. Very, very good morning to everybody. We are the Two Mikes, and a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike Porky Parry, who is currently out in the middle of the O2 Arena. Mr. Parry.
Yeah, very good morning to you, Mike. And what a magnificent arena this is. I love arenas when they're empty. They're great when they're full, like Wembley. You see them empty, you realise the sheer scale of them. Now, you're absolutely right. I'm being slightly distracted at the moment because there are a group of young ladies, 12 in all. No, hang on, let me count. There's 11 actually. 2, 4,
11?
No, 12. There are 12 in all.
Right, okay.
And they are what is popularly known as the cheerleaders for the whole BetSafe operation.
Bizarrely, they seem to be practising to no music at all.
No, well, that's because if they were practising to music, people wouldn't be able to hear me and you, which obviously is why they're listening today.
No, let me explain to you. Yeah. Technically speaking, you've got a microphone, you've got headphones.
Yeah.
We are hooked up to a lot of electrical equipment. It doesn't matter if they play loud music, people will still be able to hear us.
I understand all that, Mike. Thanks very much indeed for that lesson in technical know-how.
You're welcome.
You wouldn't know how to put a plug in sometimes. Now then, let me tell you.
In a minute.
Let me tell you, looking around this fantastic arena where the show's going to be based the next 3 hours.
Yes.
Of course, to get down to where I'm in the middle of the arena, you have to come through the Hall of Fame, okay? I'm walking through the Hall of Fame this morning. The pictures there of people who have starred at the O2, okay? People like Robbie Williams, people like Rod Stewart, our pal, a man with whom we sometimes go to football matches.
Well, we've been to
Hope
one
he's in
football
great
match
shape.
with him.
Well, that's enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Beyoncé, Robert Plant, Barbara Streisand.
What's your favourite Beyoncé song?
Well, never mind that. What I'm saying is, as I walk the Hall of Fame...
Barbara Streisand?
Yeah.
Was this spot the odd one out time?
Excuse me, she's performed here. How dare you denigrate one of the greatest singers
dead.
of the post-war era? Well, she's not, and I'm not taking any of that from you today.
Yeah.
Now, there's a big gap in the wall there, and I'm thinking another frame's going to go in there. Just imagine the two mics. We have now appeared at the same arena as those legendary names.
Do you remember when we played at the O2 in Liverpool?
Yeah.
And you kept telling everybody we're playing the O2.
Yeah.
And people thought, oh, blimey, the Two Mics have actually got so big that they're now playing at the O2 Arena in London. It wasn't quite that big, but we have played at the O2 Liverpool.
We certainly have.
Yeah.
But anyway, the only difference between, those legendary names through Robbie Williams, Robert Plant, Rod Stewart, is that we are now playing the O2 Arena to a crowd of... 0.
What?
Because the action doesn't actually start.
Yeah, possibly the worst crowd we've ever had.
Exactly. The action doesn't actually start until 1 o'clock with the BetSafe Sixes. And
it's the Star Sixes, by the way.
The Star Sixes, I know
try
that.
and get the name right.
I know that. And the difference being that when Robert Plant was here, there was I don't know, how many people does this take? 50,000?
About 25,000.
25,000, something like that. It'll sound like 50,000.
Well, let's talk about the football, because at 1 o'clock there's a game, which I'm hoping you're going to be giving us some commentary on, right?
Yes.
Do you know who's playing?
Yes, of course I do.
Who is it?
The game at 1 o'clock today, I can tell you,
who is it?
Scotland beat Mexico last night, okay? So the game today will involve...
Scotland lost to England, didn't they, last night?
Scotland lost to England 3-1 last night, but prior to that, they had beaten Mexico.
Yeah.
But the game today, at 1 o'clock, Brazil versus Nigeria.
That's going to be very exciting.
That's going to be absolutely
Roberto
exciting.
Carlos is going to be playing for Brazil. There's an amazing array of names playing in this tournament, by the way. Yeah. Michael Ballack's playing, former Chelsea.
I know, brilliant.
And Bayern Munich, of course.
Yeah.
We've got Phil Neville coming on the show later on, who's playing for the England team. We have Ferdinand's playing for the England team. Steven Gerrard's playing for England. It's a fantastic tournament, this. It really is.
At TalkSport, we have a lot of former professional footballers, who sort of work with us and all that.
You were just insulting two of them who were on the Sports Breakfast.
Out of all of that lot, only Paul Dickov, of those who've appeared on TalkSport, appears to be lining up to actually play in this tournament.
Well, Don Hutch is also playing in
Don is a good man.
He's going to be along as well.
Former Everton player, of course, we want him here as well.
Alan McInally's going to be dropping along as well.
Yeah, but
he's so old, actually, that he's even too old to be a legend now.
He won't be putting any boots on today. That's absolutely right. But, wouldn't you think that our star turns, like Alan Brazil, maybe, we might have got him down here. But
yeah, I'm surprised he didn't pop up for Scotland, actually.
I think Al's had a bit of a back problem over the years, which has made him unable to resume sport in the sort of arena and the sort of places that his colleagues play in.
Yes.
But nevertheless, fantastic representation here today. And one thing that really amazes me watching that England team last night is you sometimes wonder whether Steven Gerrard and Michael Owen might have given the game up a bit too early.
Well, you do wonder that, don't you?
A brace of goals from Steven Gerrard, a goal from Michael Owen, England beating the old enemy Scotland 3-1, and it looked very, very impressive indeed.
Yes, it will be very, very exciting. We're also going to be talking a little bit about Sebastian Vettel.
Yes.
Because, of course, a massive weekend for Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel. British Grand Prix at Silverstone.
That's right.
And, of course, a lot of people saying, it might be one of the last ever races at Silverstone. But Sebastian Vettel, it turns out, has got a very secretive lifestyle, which is fascinating to me, because I want to know what he and you have got in common.
I totally agree. Nobody even seems to know whether he's married or not, which is very odd indeed.
Why do you think he's so secretive?
Well, that's up to him. He's a four-time world champion. He can do what he likes. But, whether or not he's talking to Mercedes about going back there is the current buzz in Formula 1.
Yeah, but is this not just more a scuttlebutt that Lewis Hamilton's putting around, saying that, nobody likes me, I don't care?
Well, it's a very competitive profession. Now, down here, Mike, let me tell you a little bit more about what I'm seeing down here. The young ladies are still practising.
Yes.
The cheerleaders, and looking incredibly energetic as they go
Can
back.
I just remind you that my two young sons are also in attendance here at the O2.
Okay.
And obviously, being a family show, you won't want to get carried away on the old cheerleading front.
I certainly will not.
Thank you very much
about
indeed.
That. I am merely telling people what's going on. But the way the O2 works here is, if you remember, when the O2 was originally built, even on the night it opened, on the night of the millennium, there was a huge screw-up with transport.
Yeah.
People were getting here 3 and 4 hours late for the actual opening
I was one of them.
You were one of them.
I was one of them. I was here.
Well, that figures, yeah. But anyway,
actually, I jumped the queue, so I was only waiting for an hour rather than 3.
Okay, it's bounced back pretty spectacularly. It is now one of the world's great arenas. And although we're watching football here today, if you look at the far side of the football pitch, behind the goal at the end on my right, that converts into a huge stage.
Yes.
That's where Paul McCartney performed. I was in the star box, just to the right of the stage.
Okay.
The best box in the house, watching my hero Paul McCartney, and that's what people come here to do as well as football.
Well done for getting a Beatles reference in so early in the show. We've got some Everton references coming up as well.
It's a beautiful day.
This is TalkSport. We are the two mics. We're live at the O2. What a fantastic arena it is. We're here for the BetSafe Star Sixes tournament, and I'm delighted to say the first of our very special guests, Phil Neville, is here. Phil, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah, Phil, great to have you in this box. Thank you very much
and
indeed.
I have to say, the first of many former Everton players, bizarrely, who seem to have been signed up for the show.
Phil, I picked the guest list today. Okay, so Olivier's coming in later and all sorts of things. It's great. But Phil, thank you very much indeed for joining us. How's the old leg? Because we saw you cop a bit of a major one yesterday.
Oh yeah, it was a good tackle. To be fair, if you're playing on a Sunday League pitch, you'd be happy with that one. No, he was very apologetic afterwards, Carlos Puyal, and we had a joke afterwards that in Spain, if you do that kind of tackle, you end up in jail.
You end up in jail, yeah, absolutely.
Well, Carlos Puyal talks a very good game of apology, right? But this is a guy who made his living out of doing those sort of tackles all around the world, right?
Well, he's competitive, and I think what that tackle did, it was in the first maybe 10 minutes of the game. It set the tone for the tournament that it was competitive, and that you think you're going to come to a legends type tournament, veterans, and no, actually these guys want to win.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you that, Phil, because the level of commitment. I saw Steven Gerrard score a brace last night, Michael Owen scoring a goal. They looked as fit as fiddles. When you came here and you thought to yourself, well, I keep myself in great shape, did you hope to have an advantage but have found you haven't because all the lads are taking their retirement seriously?
Well, you have to. If you commit to a tournament like this, you've got to be fit. The difference on this type of tournament is it's 20 minutes. You think, it's 20 minutes a game of football. But it's so intense, the balls are coming off, it's non-stop, there's rolling substitutions, and to be fair, the first performance against Spain, because it was the first game of the tournament, we were a little bit naive in our tactics. Last night against Scotland, we were better because we just mixed it up, we kept bringing subs on all the time, but there were a lot of fit players here that probably could still play at a high level.
Yep.
And what about the managerial side? Who's doing that?
There's no managers.
No managers?
No, it's just a free-for-all.
Yeah.
We all think we're managers.
Yeah, right. That's what I was going to say. So who's in charge? I mean, do you sort of have to argue amongst yourselves about who's going to take the lead and who's going to discuss tactics?
No, I think Stevie G is our captain.
Right.
And once the game kicks off, Paul Merson, who's been starting on the bench, he's the most experienced player. He's been manager at Walsall, so he's been the one
carrying a bit of timber, though, isn't he?
He's still got the quality, though.
He's still got the quality.
And we drift him in and out of the games, and he's been fantastic in and around with his experience.
OK, now, Phil, you played for both Everton and Manchester United. What do you think about the Lukaku transfer? Is it good for United, and have Everton done well out of it?
I think it's good for both clubs, and I've got to say, it caught me by surprise. I thought they were going to go for Morata. I think Jose said yesterday they actually bid for Morata. But I think what Jose likes in all the teams that he's played for, he likes a target man. And maybe in England now, apart from maybe Diego Costa, and if Diego Costa leaves Chelsea, you think to yourself, maybe Jose was probably stopping Lukaku going to Chelsea to make them stronger. And he's got probably the best man around, and Everton have got unbelievable money. Yeah. They've invested that money really well, and I think both parties will be happy.
And who will Everton place him with? I mean, obviously they bought. I mean, it looks as though Everton have done a brilliant job of the transfer window so far. They seem to have been the only club really that's had a sort of a strategy where they've, as Mike said often, they've got a spine now that they've bought. They've bought some very, very, well-known players, but they do need to replace Lukaku, don't they?
They do, but they have. I mean, I think they could. On paper, have got the snip of the season so far in Sandro that they bought from Malaga. I watched him a lot last season.
Woo! Because I told Gary Lineker yesterday, this boy could end up as a leading scorer in the Premiership.
He's fantastic. His movement is brilliant. He's young. He's Spanish under 21. Yeah. But I think what Everton have done really well, they probably haven't had the financial clout in the past to do. They got the players in, so then when they had to sell a player, the fans were still happy.
Yes.
They weren't thinking, it's going to be another one of those seasons where we're selling. They brought 5 or 6 players in of quality and still going to bring in another two.
Yeah. And you'd have to ask the question about Ross Barkley, wouldn't you? Because he's been left behind. He didn't go to Tanzania. You've got to feel sorry for the guy, haven't you?
Well, I don't feel sorry for him because I think from the last 2 or 3 months of the season, I think looking at it from the outside, and I don't have any contact with any of the Everton people, it looks like maybe Ross might be on his way out. I think the players that Ronald Koeman's brought in, Davy Klaassen, Wayne Rooney in particular, they play in that type of role that...
And don't forget Schneiderlin.
In
the last
Gay, Idrissa Gay as well. So they've got a lot of midfield players. Tom Davis who's going to be a fantastic young player. So it's a difficult one for Ross. He obviously maybe is looking at his last year of his contract. Do Everton have the ambition? Well, they've shown they have. It's just whether he wants to stay.
Sure. And, of course, we can't let you go without asking about Wayne Rooney, because, of course...
Well, we're also not going to let him go without talking about another club other than Everton. We're not just going to make this about Everton.
Well, hang on. All the major transfers so far have involved either Everton or Manchester United.
No, they haven't, because you've forgotten about Kyle Walker.
Well, Kyle Walker
which we're going to have to talk about.
Yes, of course we're going to have to talk about it. We're going to talk about Wayne Rooney first.
Right, get on
we've
with
got Phil
Hurry
Neville. Wayne Rooney, I mean, he's come back to Everton, obviously. You've known him at both clubs again. His heart's always been with Everton, but that didn't stop him being a committed Manchester United player, did it?
No, it didn't. I mean, it reminds me of when I went to Everton. Everyone thought, I was a Man United player, but actually, I fell in love with playing for Everton. And Wayne is an Everton through and through. He's a toffee, and people think he's just going there just to retire. Well, he's only 32. I think there's massive things to come from Wayne Rooney. I think this could just be... I've been watching him over the last 12 months, and the lack of match action he's got, this could be the move that could just give him that little bit of, his career a kick on. Because you need it at that age.
He needed a refresher. Yeah. No, go on.
Well, let's talk a bit about Pep Guardiola, because Pep Guardiola's first season in the Premier League was probably not as good as he thought it might be. No. A lot of people say, he's going to take a little while to adapt to the way the Premier League plays. He's not defensive enough. He's now signed Kyle Walker, who's another player who really is a great defender going forward, but not such a great defender, if you know what I mean.
Well, that's if you looked at City last season, you looked at the Pep's managerial career, the strength has been probably his fullbacks bombing forward. He didn't have that last year. Right. Gael Clichy on one side, maybe Zabaleta, who played Fernandinho there. He's going to strengthen in both areas. He's got Walker. He may sign Mendy. I think the title will end up in Manchester this season. I really do. I mean,
really? On what side of Manchester?
I'm not prepared to commit to that, because I think both Manchester clubs could have a chance of winning the title this year. I expected it last year. Yeah. I think United have strengthened and got the confidence from last season, and Jose will get the players in he wants. And I think Pep will bring in another 2 or 3 players. And I honestly think the title will end up in Manchester.
That's fascinating.
I think it's fascinating, because I think Everton are going to make a burst in there. And
well, that'll be the proof of the pudding, won't it? See, but I agree.
No, but Spurs also they've missed out out on 2 consecutive seasons when they could have won it. They certainly could have won it the Leicester season, and they should have pushed on last season. Do you think they will this season?
I'm a little bit worried about Spurs this year because of the playing at Wembley. I think the Wembley effect we saw in the Champions League last year, teams going to Wembley, they'll be inspired. It's difficult, it's a bigger pitch, it's not as tight as White Hart Lane. And they haven't really brought anyone in yet, have they? So Spurs will be there or thereabouts. I think Everton have got to look at Spurs and think, over the next couple of seasons, we could be Spurs. We're moving to a new stadium. We're bringing in these young players. We've got a fantastic manager. And I think Everton should be looking at Spurs now. We're breaking into that top 6.
Yeah. And would Everton, I'm just to ask one more question about Everton. I mean, they're in the Europa League this season.
Yeah.
You know, people have often said the Europa League's very, very difficult if you haven't got a deep enough squad. You know, will they want to sort of get out of that as quickly as they can and concentrate on the Premier League, get into the top 4?
Well, I think totally the opposite. I saw the England under-20s win a World Cup with 4 Evertonians in the team, young players. Them young players have got to be playing football this year for Everton. And maybe the UEFA Cup, the Europa League, is the competition that they can get their football, because they have to play these kids. You know, John Joe Shelby, John Joe Kenny, Lukeman, Tom Davis, McDowell. These are brilliant young players that need to be playing, and they've got a big squad now, so there's no excuses not to attack it.
And that's a great news for England as well, isn't it, going forward, where you get, hopefully, after the Russian World Cup, if it does end up being played in Qatar, some of these guys will be having played together for so many years.
Our youth teams this season have been absolutely fantastic, haven't they, over the summer?
Absolutely. Phil, can I just broaden it a bit? Because as an ex-footballer, your brother's an ex-footballer, Gary, you're very, very busy off the field these days with some of your old teammates. You've invested in other football clubs, you're investing in property and all that kind of stuff. Is this a sign of what's going to come? Footballers now earn enormous amounts of money. Are you taking lessons in how to make sure that wealth is not wasted, if you see what I mean?
Well, I think the lesson is that coming to the end of your career is something that me and Gary in particular, from 5-6 years before the end of our career, we started planning. And you've got to plan, because if you get to the end of your career and you've got nothing, obviously that money that you've accumulated over the years, it soon dwindles down when you keep that lifestyle. So we've invested our money wisely. We've got other interests, and we've not put our eggs all into the football basket, because I've been an assistant manager twice now, been sacked both times. So you need other things. You need other things to give you that buzz. And this week, Star Sixers give me a buzz.
Yes.
But I've got Salford City, which is a massive, massive project and exciting, and other things as well.
How far do you want Salford City to go?
In a dream world, the Premier League, I think we can go, but obviously short term, the Football League. We're two promotions off the Football League.
Right. Okay.
We've just turned professional. We've got an academy that beat Leicester City 2 nights ago in a friendly. So we're really, really excited about that project.
Yeah, but it's fascinating to see how busy you guys are. You know, we read all the time about these city centre developments in Manchester, and I think you've just resubmitted an application for a huge development. So I'm taking my hat off to you guys, because you're not putting your feet up.
This is not some kind of attempt for you to try and muscle in on the project. Porky's got a bit of a property portfolio of his own.
Hang on, if you've got a show flat going spare, let me know with it. But
Gary's got all them.
But I mean, you haven't put your feet up and playing golf every day, and I hope other footballers follow you, because you have then created a new generation of go-getters, of wealth creators.
They have
it's
to.
A big thing.
I mean, the statistics of footballers when they finish their career that have nothing to do ended up bankrupt, involved in drugs and alcohol and divorced. It's alarming, so you've got to keep your mind busy.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Brilliant stuff. Listen, Phil, thank you so much. Good luck later on, of course. You're playing, where are you playing later today? Are you playing?
Third game versus Mexico, who nearly beat Spain yesterday, so it's a difficult game. Right. We have to win. We have to win today.
Okay, so what's your preparation for the game now?
Well, I think the lads are just getting up at the moment. We're going to have a little bit of a team breakfast, dinner, and then we're over here to watch the games, because the games before, I mean, Brazil yesterday, Jalminho, I don't know if you saw in the action, Jalminho yesterday, I mean, he was absolutely sensational.
Tremendous stuff.
Yeah.
Could you be the most beautiful girl?
Okay, folks, you are listening to the warm-up on Talk Sport. We are live from the BetSafe box for the third day of the Star Sixes tournament at the O2 Arena. It's the two mics.
We are indeed live, and there's some football coming up at around about 1 o'clock.
Yep.
We're going to be seeing Italy playing at 1:30 as well.
That's right.
So it's Brazil, I think, against, who is it? Brazil against Nigeria.
And
then Italy against China.
Italy against China.
And we are joined now by the esteemed Mr. Alan McInally.
Very good word.
Mr. McInally, a very good morning to you.
Very kind, mate. Thank you very much to both of you and everybody. Yeah, good. Brilliant, mate. Yeah.
Now, you're looking in great shape, pal, but you haven't chosen to actually get the boots on this occasion.
No. I'm gutted now. It's always the same when you get asked to play. And I get asked to play in loads of different games, but the problem is I've got a metal knee now.
A metal knee?
A complete replacement about
you have trouble at airports with that one?
No, it's all right, actually. It's good. I can golf and cycle and everything's great.
But what about getting through the old security gates and all that?
They nod their head to me
now.
And I go through Heathrow and they're like, well, at least we know it's working, big man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's beeping at the right times when I go through.
You hope so. Are you envious, Macca, in any way? Because you've been here since the start of this tournament with BetSafe. And are you a bit envious of the way some people who have retired still look superbly fit? I mean, Stevie Gerrard, Michael Owen looked like could put an England
Phil Neville looked like he just walked off a Premier League game.
He did.
I must admit, I mean, there's nothing to replace a dressing room atmosphere with the lads, and there's nothing to replace playing football, and I'm gutted. I mean, I'm not too bad. I could probably still play, obviously, if my knee wasn't
metal.
Yeah, metal, yeah, exactly. But when you see some, I mean, it's great to see some of the guys that are maybe not just as fit, and the brain is saying, you need to do this, and the body's giving it. Seriously, by the way, you need to calm down.
Right. But it's like there's an unfortunate piece of video footage that people keep replaying occasionally, I would say, at TalkSport, where Alan Brazil playing in a game, where he's looking like he's done everything right. He's gone around the guy, and he's running towards the ball and towards the goal. He just kind of falls over.
His legs just go.
His legs just go, you know. And it happened to me once. I played a five-a-side game up in Scotland against Ali McCoist, of all people, and I managed to nutmeg Ali McCoist, and I was running towards the goal.
We won't forgive you for that.
And I suddenly felt I was running through sand, and I just kind of came to a halt and fell over.
Well,
and nobody was around me.
There's been a couple out there that have been running in sand as well, but even the Italians like Di Canio and Del Piero still look pretty good. And great to see Rivaldo. Roberto Carlos has put a couple of pounds on, but he's just still Roberto Carlos, isn't he? So there's some really big stars here. It's been excellent. It really genuinely has.
It has been brilliant. Now, as a former Celtic player, Macca, I mean, Celtic are just on a roll. But are they going to hit a problem when they realise that, they can't really keep up this pace unless they get more legitimate opposition? And where is that going to come from in Scotland? Because Rangers have hit an all-time low with their ejection from a European competition before the season's even started.
I couldn't believe that, actually. I was actually on holiday and someone texted me and said Rangers are out Europe already, and the first thing I thought about was
a team from Luxembourg.
Fourth team in Luxembourg.
Team, which is obviously a bit of a disaster for Scottish football as well, naturally. And my first thought actually was it's going to be easy again for Celtic. Now, you can't just say that. They still need to go and win the domestic title and hopefully try and do what they did last year. And I suppose Brendan will really be judged on the success they have in Europe. Hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the opposition, it's not up to Celtic for Aberdeen, Dundee United and Hearts and Rangers to get better. It's about them putting themselves in a position where they can challenge Celtic, etc., etc. But Brendan can only do what he does. I'm presuming he's going to try and strengthen the team again and make sure they're just as strong as they were last year.
Now, what's excited you so far about the transfer window? We've talked to Phil Neville there. Unfortunately, we talked an awful lot about Everton. We're trying to avoid talking about that
exactly.
with absolutely every guest that we have on.
Except Everton are the transfer.
No, but we've already done all that. We've done all that.
Sorry,
let's get Alan's view of the general scene. I mean, what do you see happening? I mean, because Chelsea look as if we haven't really talked about them yet. If Costa leaves, is Conte going to follow him? Are they going to sign anyone? I mean, what's going on there?
It's a real imponderable. I genuinely don't know. I haven't spoken to anybody at Chelsea either. I genuinely don't know. I think Costa's a given. I think he's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we even need to worry about that. The manager situation, I don't. Where's he going to go? Where does he want to go? Why does he want to leave Chelsea? They've just won the title. I can presume he'll get some of the money, whatever they get for Costa, whatever they're going to, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
He'll know where he wants to strengthen the football team and try. This will be a bigger test for him next season. A much bigger test. The way that Man City are spending money, obviously the way that Manchester United are spending money, etc. And Liverpool are going to be in there. And if you look at the top six, I was actually the other day I was looking at the top six thinking, who out the 7th, 8th and 9th are going to manage to even get remotely close to that top six?
With the big, huge gap in points between the 7th and
I'm mainly talking about Everton.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, no matter what happened last year, I used to say this to him every weekend. I said, see Everton won again, still 7th. I mean, they couldn't move. They couldn't go anywhere.
Well, listen, the goal is there for them to get better. And Ronald's, I mean, how much is he going to get of that money to spend?
All of it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a
Well, he's already spent it, isn't he?
There's a name
he
there.
spent a lot of it.
He spent a bit of it, I think obviously knew the deal was going to be coming. But, I mean, I think they're in good hands, Everton, if we speak about them specifically. But when you look at the other top, likes of Spurs and certainly Manchester City, because there's one person that's under a lot of pressure this year, is Pep Guardiola.
Very much so. If he'd have had that season last season at the Continental Club, he probably would have been sacked.
Every that's maybe not unfair, but it's just because he carries such a heavyweight burden in his shoulder wherever he goes because of the success he had prior to that. You just expect. I think what he did realise very quickly was that he didn't have the best team, regardless of whatever tactics he played, and he can't be as stubborn as he was, and really has to. This is the English Premier Division.
Yeah.
You can't just like rock and roll in and think, okay, we'll do this.
Do you think he made a huge mistake with Joe Hart, and now he can't row back on it? I mean, Joe Hart's now going to end up at West Ham.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
You know, on loan, and you know, an international goalkeeper
Well,
on loan anywhere.
And he wouldn't have looked so bad if he hadn't replaced him with the guy who he replaced him with, who was completely hopeless.
Yeah, or both of them. To be fair, Willie Caballero did really well. To be honest, any time he was asked to stand in front of the goal. But I do think he dug a hole for himself, Mike, to the point that. You know, I'm so kind of bloody minded that I'm really genuinely going to be. He's just not coming back. He's not going to be there. Even though it might have been a good decision to call him back and say, well, okay, you know, come back. Okay, you know, let's shake hands, get dust yourself down and get on with it. And now, like you said, Joe may end up at West Ham, which incidentally is a plus for West Ham.
Well, a very big plus for West Ham. We've been to their stadium, the London Stadium. It's a great place to play football. What always irritates me at the start of every season for the last 10 years, Al, is the talk about Arsenal, which never ever gets anywhere.
No, I know.
Why are you?
Although this year it's different because they didn't end up in the top four. Fourth was no longer a trophy, and now suddenly it's a different ballgame.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Listen, if he doesn't buy a centre half or a couple of defenders, I'll be flabbergasted. I mean, I want Sanchez to stay. I'm a big Wenger fan. I think it was probably on Sky I said February, March, he'll sign a 2-year contract. I don't know what the hee-haw was about. I know they were going through a tough time. Then they have a great finish to the season. They win the FA Cup. It was a great performance, and everybody's happy again. No reason for him to go. I can understand why people are unhappy, but he has spent a lot of money at Arsenal. He's still tried to strengthen the squad, but he's bought players in positions where to strengthen areas of the pitch is always important, but specific areas where we all see, and he must see, Arsene Wenger is a very clever man. He's not stupid.
Yes.
But to be, again, stubborn enough to think, no, this defence will get me through. No, it won't.
No.
And not only will it not get you through, Mike, it doesn't get you a top four.
No.
And you're miles away from the title. If you want to win the title and bring it back to Arsenal, then he has to spend money on top defenders. End of, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Now, talking of the Scottish football and raising its profile, can Scotland win this tournament? You know, they lost to England last night. They got a win against Mexico.
All right. I mean, you're Scottish, of course you are.
Yeah, I am, yeah. So
don't
worry, I'm on your side.
I must admit, England weren't particularly good against Spain. We had a wonderful result against Mexico, and then last night it was a great crescendo to the evening last night. It was the last game. It was really good. The atmosphere was excellent. I thought England did really well. I thought Michael, fantastic, held his composure when he had to retake the penalty.
Yes.
Because you're not allowed to take 3 or 4 steps to take the pen. It's only one step. We didn't play particularly well. Tactically, we were okay, but I think England were just a little bit better. And it sets us up perfect for today because we play Spain, who have already had 2 wins in the bounce, so they might not need anything, and that might get us a point, possibly, put us on 4 points. And England play Mexico. Now, Mexico were excellent against Italy last night, and they were furious when they came off the pitch.
Yeah.
When they conceded late on against against Spain, actually. Sorry,
that's right.
When Salgado scored against them to make the winner. So I wouldn't say it's going to be easy for England, but I do expect them to win. A slow start, but hopefully England and Scotland will get to at least the quarters.
I think it's obvious, having looked at the Scottish team so far, that Scottish players, because they're Scots...
Well, we're getting Dick off at Hutchin later on, so be careful what you say.
Be careful what you say.
Yeah.
Don't quite look after themselves in the same way. I mean, the temptations of life in Scotland can be excessive.
This coming from the Cristiano Ronaldo of Talk Sport. If he's as wide as he is tall.
Absolutely. Well, and remember, we had a bit of a disaster because Christian Daly, who started for us, broke his collarbone.
Terrible, so shocking.
So that one. Listen, let's just hope England and Scotland do well. Incidentally, I mean, the Star Sixes with BetSafe has been absolutely fantastic. I think everybody that's been here has really enjoyed it. If I'm going to pick a winner, I think Spain have looked pretty good.
Really?
Yeah.
England could shock you. Believe me, the Englishman. We're on the roll.
You're right. He has been drinking.
He has, yeah.
No, not yet.
Well, he doesn't stop really. I mean, it's not so much when did he start; it's how long he's been off it for.
Did I hear the clinking of a glass or two?
Alan, thank you very much indeed. Alan
thanks very much indeed.
Love it to see you.
Legend of the game. He's tipping Spain to win this tournament. We are with BetSafe at the Star Sixes at the O2. This is Talk Sport. We are the 2 mics. We're down at the O2 at the Star Sixes, of course. And what a great place to be, Mr.
It's
Parry.
fabulous, Mike.
There's a lot going on this weekend as well as the football.
Yeah, it's starting to fill up now because the first game's kicking off in just a few minutes' time, and the
well, about an hour actually.
I beg your pardon, an hour and a few minutes' time.
Yes.
That's what I said.
That's what you
I
meant,
meant to say, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And the people have started coming in, and the atmosphere here is going to be electric.
It is absolutely going to be electric. I'll tell you what else the atmosphere is getting. It's getting a bit interesting because a lot of people, including this from David, are saying that you were a bit of a crawler to Phil Neville when he was
Rubbish.
on. David says, Phil Neville's a good man, fair play to him,
Yeah.
but get me the sick bucket
No.
for listening to Parry, who was all over him.
No, that's absolutely outrageous.
I know.
I was respectful because Phil is a great man and a former Everton captain.
You were
and-
trying to muscle in on his property
and
empire, is what you were
well,
trying to do.
No. He said that's all down to Gary, so I'll have to get a number for
Yeah,
Gary.
you'll have to get Gary's number,
well,
obviously. Now, before we do anything else, we've got to head over to Wimbledon because,
Yeah.
of course, the ladies' final is taking place a little bit later on this afternoon. Rupert Bell has been there all week. Rupert, a very, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike. Good morning,
Hi, Rup.
Mike. I'm a bit worried if you were dancing to all the single ladies, Mike Parry. It's a picture I want to get out of my mind.
Yeah.
Well, they were cheerleaders and they were looking for a man of experience to give them the lowdown on whether they were up to speed. It was as simple as that.
Yes, indeed. And how disappointed were they? Now, I'm very pleased to hear you back in fine fettle, Rupert, because you made clips of the week, I'm afraid, on Friday.
Did I?
For your
Why?
rather unfortunate voice problem the last time we had you on last weekend.
Yes.
Oh, that's very kind of them.
Well, I mean, it's a great
yeah.
honour to be on Clips of the Week. There's nothing wrong with it.
Okay,
Yeah, but
I
not if
suppose
you're
it-
on Clips of the Week because you've been in Bladderation Central.
That's true,
a
actually,
few
yeah.
hours before coming on
Well,
to.
no,
Recovering from Royal Ascot.
Yeah.
Well, I think yes. It's taken me a long time to get over that, but I think I'm hopefully sounding all right, and I'll get through
Sound
this.
great. You sound great.
Now,
Pebble.
Venus Williams, of course, who knocked out the great British hope Johanna Konta,
Yes.
takes to the centre court this afternoon. I'm going to get Mr. Parry to tell you who she's playing.
I've been studying all this right from day one, and I said this girl would get there. Garbine Muguruzaza is... Excuse me.
What's that name again?
Her name is Garbina
Yeah.
Muguruzaza.
Right. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Right.
No,
Here we go.
I was given
Can I-
that. Excuse
No,
me.
no,
I
no,
was given
no.
that interpretation of her name.
Right. Her name is, I think I've got it right, and I'm no expert, but try Garbina Muguruza.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Muguruza
exactly what I
is
said.
exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
There you go, Mike.
Has she got any chance? I
Yes,
quite
she
like
has.
Muguruza. She's a good player, isn't she?
Yes, she has. I think your colleagues at BetSafe might have made her favourite to win this.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So I would suggest that the reason being, she has played some brilliant tennis to get this far. She has won the French Open last year. She's a former finalist here. And while all the spotlight is quite naturally on Venus Williams because of what she's achieved to get to another final first time since 2008, she's been here for 20 years. Clearly all the spotlight's on her, but Muguruza is an outstanding player in her own right and deserves the favourites tag because I think she will win. It might take 3 sets to do it, but Venus Williams is brilliant to get here. In 2003 was the last time she got to multiple Grand Slam finals in the same year. She got to the Australia earlier this year where she was beaten by her little sis Serena, and she has been brilliant. But I think Muguruza might come out on top.
Okay, that's a fascinating prospect.
Thank you very
Rup,
much
thanks
indeed,
very
Rupert.
much.
We'll be coming back to you, I'm sure, throughout the course of the afternoon.
That's
Rupert
right.
Bell down there at Wimbledon for us. Here's a good question from Liam,
Yeah.
who sent this in after your chat with Alan McInally about Celtic.
Yes.
Says, how can Dundee United challenge Celtic when they're not even in the same league?
So what?
Well, did you ask about Dundee
No,
United?
I didn't.
Well, why is he talking about Dundee United?
I've no idea. I didn't mention Dundee.
Really?
I said that, at some point Celtic needs stronger opposition, but everybody knows that.
All right.
Stating
Here's one
the
from
obvious.
John, who says,
Yeah.
two mics get Phil Neville on, and all Mike Parry can do is talk about Everton.
Well-
Typical plank.
Well, hang on. He was captain of Everton for 6 years, so don't plank me, OK? Now, I'll tell you, I want to talk to you about something that's rather worrying.
Do you? Okay.
We're going off to America quite soon,
We
right?
certainly are.
And we're going to do a live
Well,
show
we're going to
there.
live show in the City Winery,
In the City Winery.
on September the 16th.
Yeah, on September the 16th. Now then, bit of a row in the airline industry
Oh, yeah.
because a passenger on one of the world's biggest airlines,
Yeah.
in fact, I think it's on Emirates,
Oh,
which
yeah.
of course is a sponsor of Arsenal.
It is
so.
indeed, yeah.
This passenger takes a picture in a mirror
Yeah.
of a what do we call these? Do we call them cabinets?
Member of the flight crew.
The flight crew, yeah.
Or the cabin crew, you might say.
Cabin crew, that's
Yeah.
right. Pouring an undrunk half glass of champagne
Oh.
back into the champagne bottle.
Really?
Yeah, and this is in
Shocking.
the area of the plane where people who are getting on the plane are turning left, not right. You
Yes,
know what I mean?
right.
And
Yeah, because I mean, if you travel anything other than business or first now, they don't give you any champagne.
Yes, absolutely.
Good luck with that.
This photograph apparently was taken by a Russian business class flyer, gentleman actually. I say lady. No, this report says a gentleman, Yevgeny. And he said, I accidentally filmed the video and didn't even notice this moment at the time when I witnessed one of the staff pouring unfinished champagne back into the bottle. Yeah. He was on a flight bound for Dubai. He said, is that normal practice, Emirates? And, then the big row started because it went up to social media. Right. Emirates said, actions on this video do not comply with our quality standards. We're investigating the incident.
So they're admitting, holding their hands up, basically saying that it has happened. You can see it clearly happening on the video. They can't really deny it.
There is video evidence. Right. But, I mean, you know what? When you get on airplanes, you're always told you don't know what's going on in the kitchen and all that kind of stuff all the time. When we go to New York...
Well, luckily we're not going with Emirates, are we?
Well, I'd like to go with British Airways because flying the flag, going to New York...
Why are you carrying around a huge wire, by the way? Well, you don't have to carry that around with you.
I'm carrying my...
You're like some kind of... singer on Top of the Pops from about 1979.
I'm carrying my extension wire around.
You might get electrocuted.
Do you know what? I look like a felon who's carrying his ball and chain around with him.
You do look a bit like that.
Because if I drop it anywhere, it might explode.
Well, why don't you just put it down?
Well, I can't put it down because if I put it down, it's not long enough to hit the floor and it drags my headphones off. It's all a bit technical.
Should we get the engineer over to sort you out?
We'll get him to sort it out. Don't
absolutely.
worry.
Good stuff. Now, I've got an announcement here from Craig who says, please can you say hello to Adam Felgate, who's going for a bladderisation day today.
What?
Yeah, apparently so.
Excuse me, we do not send out best wishes to people who go on bladderation days, you know?
Well,
you know the motto of the two mics, it's bladderation in moderation.
Yes, that's entirely correct.
So we don't, pure bladderation day for no reason. I'm sorry, we do not approve of that.
Yeah. Now, I've also got an interesting thing to say to you because something happened last night on Twitter which I feel I must confess to you because I'm going to have to ask you to sign a T-shirt. A Two Mics T-shirt, which has been requested by somebody called Cara Jane Nadin, right?
Now I know this lady is.
Now she contacted
you start getting
me.
A bit fruity with her
Not at all.
night.
No, she contacted me last night and said her boyfriend is such a big fan of the Two Mics. You know, could I tell her possibly where we were out drinking so that he could come and gate crash the party?
Well, even if we were in Edinburgh.
Well, I said, unfortunately, I'm not out drinking. I'm at home with my family. You know, so I'm not out on the Raz.
And Portmeister's not out drinking.
Well,
either.
I didn't want to suggest that you might be.
No.
And also, I didn't know where you would be.
No.
So anyway, she said that he was so desperate to meet us that he was almost willing to do anything, basically, to get to see us.
Oh.
So I said, well, I'll tell you what,
like
the next
indecent proposal style.
Well, it was a bit like that. I said, well, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I said, the next time we are out and about, or specifically the next time I'm out and about, I'll let you know where I am as long as you don't bring him with you.
Yeah.
And so she said, he says that's fine.
Yes.
But could you please sign a Two Mics T-shirt and could he have a packet of Porky scratchings and then he'll go along with it.
I thought there was some mention of there must not be any horizontal refreshment involved.
Well, you can't talk about that. It's a family show.
Well, it's a family show.
It's a family show.
You know, if I was reading the same notes that you were reading or you were involved in, I have to say, another level of behaviour which dips below the standards of the Two Mics.
There is an element of self-censorship that must be required around this time. Now, so what I've got to do is give Kyle Frew a shout-out, is what she said. So his name is Kyle Frew, and so we'll be giving him a T-shirt at some point over the course of the summer.
OK, Kyle, a signed T-shirt on its way to you, pal.
And
I'm
some
awfully
Porky
sorry. And, so I'll send you a card of Porky scratchings. Best sellers, by the way, they're going to become, you know.
Yeah, right.
And I'm very sorry that you and your lovely lady friend got involved in a smutty, transfer of non-information with MG.
Really? OK.
Yeah.
Welcome to the O2 Arena. We are the Two Mics, of course. You listen to the warm-up right here on TalkSport. We're live from the BetSafe box for the third day of the Star Sixes tournament at the O2 Arena down on the Greenwich Peninsula. It is a fabulous event. It is a fabulous vista that we're looking out on here. Mr. Parry is with me. And, of course, he's already been giving his view on what's going on today. We've got Brazil taking on Nigeria at 1 o'clock.
Yes.
Very excited about that.
Yes.
Because Brazil are one of the favourites for the tournament. We've got
right.
Italy taking
Nigeria are very good, though.
Are they? We've got Italy taking on China as
That's
well.
right.
That sounds to me a bit of a one-sided
Well,
game, to
the
be
Italians
fair.
have been a sparkling performer so far in this competition.
Now,
I'm
coming
telling
up
you.
a little bit later on, of course, it's the women's final down at
certainly is.
Wimbledon.
It
Rupert
is.
Bell's covering it. Venus Williams is taking on the Spanish woman. Her name is, of course...
The Spanish lady?
Yeah,
Spanish lady, as we all know, is Garbine.
Yes.
Garbina.
Yeah.
Muguruza.
Muguruza.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Muguruza, that's it. Yeah,
I'm going to get you to say it right before the end of the show.
There's two Zs at the end, so
Absolutely
that's what
right.
confuses me. Yeah.
Now, a couple of quick tweets for you here. Got one here from Wardy. He says, so if I read this right, we can swap our partners for some Two Mikes merchandise. No, that's not the case at all. That's a disgraceful slur. It's not the kind of thing we encourage. This is a family show.
But unfortunately...
I'm not going to finish off what he also says.
Unfortunately, you have completely skewed the moral compass of this show.
Not at all.
By engaging
Rubbish.
last night in a bit of ribaldry with a young lady who had a boyfriend who wanted to track you down to have a drink with you, and in the end it ended up where you and the young lady started exchanging cheeky notes
Not at
together.
all. No, absolute rubbish.
Of which I completely and entirely disapprove. And now people are saying, "Oh, right, can I have a session with the Two Mikes if I allow you
the only way to get
send
the only way to get
my
a ticket-
girlfriend a signed T-shirt?"
No, the only way to get a ticket for the show in New York is to go to the twomikes.co.uk and buy one.
That's right.
Where you can also get the live stream as well.
Yep.
So if you can't make it to New York, you can watch the show live in the comfort of your living room.
You certainly can.
Which will be very nice.
That's right. Now, you're planning on going on holiday this summer, is that right?
Well, I do go on holiday this summer. My children are here with me today,
Yes.
which I keep asking you to remember when you tell some of these rather off-colour stories
Not
about
off-colour
me, okay?
at all.
Now, the thing is, they, being children, like to go on holiday in the summer
Yes.
because they get a big, long summer holiday,
Lovely.
which kicks off at the end of this week, by the way.
Great.
So we're going to take just 1 week because of New York.
And will this be in sunny climes?
I'd rather not give away the location because I
won't
did
give away
that last year and you turned up,
Yeah, exactly, I did.
which I really don't want to repeat, thank you.
All right, so we say it's in sunny climes. Now, I know this sounds like a stupid question, but you're going to a hotel, I presume, rather than a villa?
I'm actually going to a villa.
Villa, right,
Yeah.
okay. Does the villa have both walls and ceilings?
Eh?
Does the villa have walls?
I certainly hope it does.
This is because
Why?
I found out through my tourist manuals that you won't believe this, but in Switzerland, a hotel is advertising itself as being the only hotel in the world with no walls and no ceilings.
What? Well, why would you want to stay in a hotel? I mean, I could understand if you were staying in somewhere like
it's
the
unbelievable.
Seychelles, where they have those kind of indoor-outdoor type huts overlooking the sea.
Right.
But Switzerland, I mean, Switzerland is not a place where the weather is entirely clement all the time.
A lot of people go walking in Switzerland in the summer because the valleys are so beautiful
And there's
all
no
that.
snow.
When there's no snow there and all that.
Well, what do they do? You can't stay in a place with no ceiling and no...
Yeah,
Well, hang on,
because-
if it's got no walls and no roof,
Yeah.
what has it got?
Well, I'm about to tell you. The Nullstern Hotel is solely a double bed with a nightstand and lamps perched on the top of a mountain. That's it.
What, so it has no protection from the elements?
No.
Well, you'd have to be mad to stay there, wouldn't you?
It has no walls, no ceilings, and it does not have even a bathroom.
Well, where do you put all your stuff?
Well, you put it on the floor next to your bed.
On the floor? But would
Yeah.
it blow away? If there's
Well,
there's no sides or no top? What if it gets windy?
Somebody's just gone up there and put a bed, and they're just a series of beds.
That's
the
ridiculous.
closest bathroom is a public toilet, which is a 10-minute walk away.
Right.
So if you wake up in the middle of the night, and you feel you need,
Why is the bathroom a 10-minute walk away? Because there's nothing else there.
Because there's no ensuite bathrooms. Guess we'll
Well, hang
have...
on. Without wishing to be too obvious or crude, surely if there's nothing around, you could just...
Well, I'm not getting into that. I'm sorry. These are civilised people.
Really?
Now, it also says that there is a butler to look after some of your needs.
Butler?
Butler.
I
yeah.
hate you, butler.
I hate you, butler. And there's also, bizarrely...
Where does the butler stay?
I don't know the answer to that, but
Are
bizarrely...
you sure about this? This is not an April Fool you've come up with.
No. Bizarrely, each morning at 11:15, you get a salami sandwich and a cup of coffee.
A salami sandwich?
I hate salami.
I would have
It's
thought
me.
if you were in
Oh,
Switzerland, would you not get some cheese?
Would
you not get cheese? Or some fondue, perhaps?
But I mean, look, it's one of these massive...
Did you say how much it is?
Yes, it's £190 a night and it's booked out. It's
190
completely
quid
booked
a
out.
night?
Yeah, 190
That's
quid a night.
ridiculous.
All that's marked out is,
Yeah.
is an area,
Right.
and your bed's in the middle of it, and it's the ultimate sleeping under the stars type experience.
Oh, I see.
And it's £190 a night.
What do you
and
do if it starts raining?
It doesn't say so. It doesn't say what you can do. You can. What you can do is, if the forecast shows it's going to rain, you can cancel in advance.
Right.
If you haven't
Yeah,
cancelled...
but what I'm saying is if you're lying there in the middle of the night
Yep.
and it starts bucketing down,
Yep.
as it can do,
Yes.
what do you do then?
That's entirely up to you. You can either stay there because on the basis that, well, the rain won't last forever
Yeah.
and it'll be warm again in the morning.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, you just flee, I suppose.
Do you know, when I was a kid, we
Yeah.
used to drive to Italy
Yeah.
for our summer holidays. We
Yes.
used to go camping in these campsites, which
Yeah.
were very well organised,
Yeah.
on the sort of on the edge of the Lido di Jesolo,
Lido di
opposite
Jesolo,
Venice, right?
Right.
But because my father was a bit eccentric, he didn't like to book anywhere on the road between, right?
Yeah.
So we would sort of drive and find places to stay.
Yes.
But there was a couple of times when we didn't find anywhere to stay.
Yeah.
So I remember one night we had to sleep rough in the car.
Right.
But we decided that it was old Austin Cambridge, right?
Yeah.
But there wasn't enough room for all of us to sleep. So
Yeah.
myself and my sister slept in the back seat,
Right.
which was built up with sort of tenting gear and all
Yes.
that. My mother slept in the front 2 seats.
Yes.
And he volunteered to go out and sleep on a camp bed,
Right.
next to the car.
Right.
And in the middle of the night, it started pouring.
Right, okay.
And of course, he then woke up and decided he wanted to try and get back in the car.
Yeah, yeah.
And he started knocking on the window.
Yeah.
And my mother wouldn't let him in.
I
She
don't
didn't
blame
and
him.
they had a huge row.
Yeah.
And he had to spend the whole night out there in the rain.
That's the adventure of camping.
Well, it is.
Have I ever told you I stayed on Necker? Richard Branson's private island.
Oh,
Have I
you've
ever
never
told you?
mentioned that.
Oh,
no.
never mentioned that.
Was that when you were on holiday with Valerie Singleton?
Yes, that's right. Actually,
And
it
you
was, yeah.
supposedly learned how to water ski in 2 seconds flat.
I went all the way around Necker Island on a water skiing behind a speedboat and didn't put
I
a
don't
foot
believe
wrong.
you.
No, I did.
I want to see the pictures.
Anyway, every bathroom
Yeah.
to every bedroom, there's 10 of them on Necker, is outdoors.
Is it?
So you have your wonderfully appointed bedroom,
Yeah.
but to go into the shower, you literally walk outdoors
Yes.
onto the balcony, and that's where
You
it
didn't
is.
have a shower naked outside, did you?
You're not actually naked. There's frosted glass around it, but
Ah.
it's still outside.
Right.
And the other place where that happened to me was St Lucia, where I stayed at a hotel where the bedrooms were actually just lodges built up at the side of a mountain. You know
yes,
what I mean?
I've stayed in one of those.
That's
yeah.
right, yeah. But there were no windows or walls or anything.
Yeah.
You just went up a sort of set of steps to get in there, and it was planted there. And there was a roof over
Yeah,
it, but there were no
well,
walls.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's fine in the Caribbean. It's
Yes,
also fine
exactly.
in somewhere like the Seychelles,
Yeah.
like I say. But I think
Yeah.
in Switzerland, I
Yeah.
think it would be very unwise
Yeah.
to sleep in a bed which has not got any covers over it at all.
It's for the kind of it's mad adventurous, isn't it? In just in the post-war period, to try and find out whether we could get rid of scarlet fever
Yeah.
and TB.
What?
TB.
Yeah.
They used to invite people to sleep in beds on the banks of the River Thames.
Did they?
On the embankment.
Really?
When it was -2 and all that kind of stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
I didn't make
rows
this
and
up
rows
now.
of people used to
No.
go and sleep there every night, particularly down and out, so I'd nowhere else to go.
Absolute
See
rubbish.
if they could get rid of their
Well,
TB.
they're still sleeping there.
Yeah.
Lady Laura says,
They
listen
are,
to
actually.
2 mics as we head to Newmarket for the races.
Yeah.
And as Mike Parry endorses, a bladderation in moderation day.
Yes.
So there's a lot of it going on.
Yes.
If you want my body and you think I'm sexy, come on, sugar, let me know. If you really need me, just reach out and touch me. Come on.
This is TalkSport. We are at the 2 mics. We're down at the O2. We're with BetSafe, of course. We've got the Star Sixes tournament going on. And I'm delighted to say another star guest has joined us, Mr. Parry. Would you
Indeed.
like to say hello to yet another former Everton player?
Monsieur Olivier Giroud, thank you for coming to see
It's
us
not
today.
Olivier Giroud.
Eh?
It's Olivier Dacourt.
D'accord, of course, you idiot. What an
What's
idiot.
wrong with you?
I'm a complete
I'm sorry,
idiot.
he is
That's why.
not very, very well versed in the
No.
world of
Absolutely.
international football.
Yeah.
But Olivier, welcome to the BetSafe box. Thank you very much for joining us. You're playing for France, obviously. And how are you getting on so far?
Yeah, not too bad. We lost the first game,
Uh-huh.
and yesterday we won against Portugal.
Okay. You lost to Germany, right?
Yeah, because we were a little bit arrogant, and
Uh-huh.
we thought it will be easier against Germany and hard against Portugal, and Germany played very well, and they won.
Yes. And who else is in the French team? Who are you playing with?
Marcel Desailly,
Uh-huh.
Robert Pires,
Right.
Ludovic Giuly. He won the Champions League with Barca.
Yeah.
Eric Abidal,
Okay, that's a good
Barca. You've got Yuri Djurkaev.
team. Right. All very familiar players to fans of the Premier League, of course.
Yeah, some play in Italy, in Spain.
Uh-huh.
We've got Sébastien Frey.
Olivier, are you impressed by the level of fitness of yourself and your colleagues at this age? You could still be playing football professionally, maybe. You're putting some of the professionals in the Premier League to shame.
No, I think you cannot be. I think for me, it's difficult because I stopped many years ago. Some just stopped 6 months ago, and they just stop in. Some looking for a club. They have to do well, but it's always good to play against each other because it's good memories.
It's good memories. Now, in golf, of course, they have an official senior circuit, don't they? These guys actually play professionally. What about starting that in football? And then us who followed clubs like Everton all our lives can go back and see our heroes still playing.
Yeah, but it will be hard because you have to train. you can, you have to train all the week like you play on the Sunday. If you never train, you will be bad. You will be like me.
I mean, I'm not an expert on six-a-side football, but it looks quite a big pitch for six-a-side football, so a lot of running around.
Yeah. It's difficult physically. It's difficult. You can see many injured players because you're not used to it.
Yeah.
Even the surface, it's difficult, but it's a good combination because it's small pitch and we cannot run long.
And we were talking to Phil Neville a little bit earlier on, who was clattered into by Carlos Puyol in the game. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Are you surprised at how much needle is going on?
Yeah, it was a red card.
It was a red card.
For 6 times.
Six
red card because he could break this leg on. But Carlos is like that when he came in the pitch. He wants to win, but
that's right. And Phil Neville is such a nice man. Now, Olivier, what do you think about the rebuilding Everton are doing for next season? And
we're not going to keep asking all these former Everton players about Everton, are we?
Well, what else do you want to ask them about? That's who they used to play for.
Kind of a jerk, are you? There's a whole world of football out there. There's Paris Saint-Germain to talk about. There's Arsene Wenger to talk about. There are all sorts of big international football stories to discuss.
Well, I tell you what, Olivier played for Everton, so let's ask him about Newcastle, shall we? You oaf.
Well, we've already asked Phil Neville about Everton.
Yeah. Olivier,
sorry about this.
Olivier, I got your name wrong at the start because the first question I was going to ask you was, do you think your namesake Olivier Giroud will go to Everton? And if so, would it be a good buy for Everton?
Yeah, it will be a good buy because I think Everton did something fantastic to bring back Wayne Rooney at home because he started there, he finished there, and it's a good story.
Yeah.
And he can do many good things because he was a massive, and he's still a big player.
Yeah.
And it's a good news for Everton.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, Olivier, you also spent quite a bit of time at Leeds United. They've had a little bit of a checkered history, I suppose, in the last few seasons because the owners have changed and all of that. But they're looking like they've got a good manager now. You think they could come up and be a force again in the Premier League?
Yeah, it will be. I really think the Premier League need to have a club like Leeds United because they've got some big fans. The atmosphere in Ellen Road is fantastic.
Oh, it's a huge ground. And a huge atmosphere.
And now with the new president and the new staff, I think they can do some things, but they have to have a competitive team, and it's always difficult to go the championship to premiership. It's always hard, but the foundation, it's very important.
Yes, you would like to see them back in the Premier League. So what are you doing now with yourself? Are you still involved in the football business a little bit?
No, io parlo italiano. I speak Italian, but I work on television for the biggest show in France.
Okay.
And I do some big interview to show everybody it's difficult to become football player.
Yeah, well, that's good. Now, obviously, you've got a huge view over the continent, okay?
Yeah.
So can you tell me why you think English clubs have slipped behind in the Champions League, please? Because when you were playing in England, we regularly had 2 teams in the semi-finals and all this kind of thing.
I think it's because the league is so difficult. Because every week for Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, it's Champions League games.
Right.
And that you lost when you play every week Champions League, like you play against Arsenal and after Chelsea, Tottenham.
Yeah.
In example, I will take in France, it's not the same. You've got 2 or 3 games during the year, difficult games. But in England, it's so hard. You lost even psychologically, you are tired because big games, it's every 3 days in England.
Okay.
And that's the reason I think they lost, the fresh.
Yeah, so like in Spain, 2 major teams, 3 major teams. In Germany, 1 major team. In France, 1 major team. So they're not weak.
Maybe, I suppose.
Yeah, 2, 3. In England, you've got 9, 10 clubs.
In England?
In England, it's difficult.
Right.
Even here, on a lot of
pressure.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Now, you're playing Denmark later on this afternoon. Will you be playing? Do you play the whole game? Do they substitute you? Do they look at you and say, he hasn't played for so long, we'll only have him play for 10 minutes?
Some things at one age, you have to know when you are the best for your team. And I think my best position for my team is on the bench, and I'm coaching.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And now when I can see
yeah.
the team is in difficulty, I
Yes,
came on.
you come on, yes,
to make the difference.
to give a
But-
big boost.
Yeah. But
You
for
could be like the super sub.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
like
Something like
Solskjaer
that.
at Manchester United.
Sure,
Remember?
Yes, of course.
I'm like that.
And then, of course, you don't have to run around very much.
I don't wanna rock, DJ, but you're making me feel so nice. When's it gonna stop, DJ? 'Cause you're keeping me up all night.
This is TalkSport. We are the two mics, of course. The football is moments away down here at the O2 Arena, Mr. Parry.
Yep.
It's going to be Brazil taking on Nigeria.
That's right.
We are the two mics. We're down at the O2 Arena for the Star Sixes. Fantastic tournament. A couple of quick tweets for you, Mr. Parry.
Yes, okay.
Jane says, sorry, Mr. Parry. We all heard what you said. That's what happens on live radio.
Oh, come off it,
And
come off
Wasim
it.
says, not like Olivia Dacour and Olivia Giroud look alike, do they?
Well, they don't look alike. Of course they don't look alike, you fool. But, I mean, they both start with Olivier, and I was crafting my
You think
science.
of anybody else called Olivier? Olivier de Havilland, perhaps?
What about Laurence?
Laurence Olivier?
Sir Laurence.
Yes.
Yeah, there's
He's
lots
not
of-
French, though.
There's a lot of Oliviers around. You could
Yeah.
easily get mixed up. Now, I'll tell you what I'm talking about.
Yeah, go on.
Would you describe the atmosphere here as frantic and
Yes, there's an awful
exciting
lot
and
going on,
electric?
yeah. The
Well,
football is about to get underway.
Guess what I found?
What have you found?
I found a list of 30 things in your life that if you apply these to your day-to-day workings,
Oh, yes.
means that your life's too hectic and you're going to die young.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, I mean, is there a list of things that I shouldn't be doing? Is that
well,
what you're telling
for
me?
instance, it says if you order takeaways all the time,
Yeah.
then you're not slowing down to even
Well-
appreciate your food.
Well, you see, not only is that a bad idea, but
Yeah.
also it means that you're eating the wrong type of food as well, because,
Yeah.
you know, we all have very hurried lives.
Sure.
And you can easily fall into that trap.
Sure,
I mean, you yourself have mentioned
Yeah.
many times
Yeah.
the day that you decided you couldn't decide which takeaway you wanted.
It's true.
You didn't know if you wanted Chinese.
No, it's true.
You didn't know if you wanted McDonald's. You didn't know if you wanted pizza.
It's true.
And you kept just going backwards and forwards to all these fast food outlets.
Absolutely.
I fear that you may eat too much fast food.
No, I don't at all. Now, there's some here that apply to me and some apply to you. There's
Yeah.
30 altogether, but this one definitely applies to you.
Yes.
Wearing non-ironed clothes.
Wearing non-ironed clothes.
Now, you wear non-ironed clothes, don't you?
Sometimes.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you see, that's an indication of the fact that
You
you're
look
just-
like a tramp most of the time. The idea that you are going to say to me that my
Yeah.
appearance is in some way inferior to
It
yours
is, it is.
a nonsense.
Well-
I wear ironed shirts pretty much pressed by the dry cleaners.
dry
If
cleaners.
I'm-
But you
if-
see, you put them into a dry cleaners, they come out, other people using them.
What?
My housekeeper does all my stuff.
No, she's not your housekeeper, right? She's your cleaner, and because you haven't got enough of a place to clean,
Yeah.
she spends some time ironing your shirts.
Your shirts are pressed on a press that is used to press thousands of other people's
yeah,
shirts.
it's called a dry cleaner. So
Yeah,
what, you're telling
yeah.
me you don't put stuff into a dry cleaners in case it gets contaminated by other people's clothes?
I put my suits in because they only clean on the outside,
I
but I
see.
wouldn't have shirts cleaned in a dry
How
cleaners.
do you mean they only clean on the outside?
Well, you only clean the outside of a suit. You don't actually.
How do you mean? How do you think they clean the inside of a suit then?
Yes, but you don't wear the inside of a suit to your skin
I see.
like you do a shirt. You
Well,
wear the
you
inside
might
of
wear
your
a
shirt to
vest
skin.
underneath, won't you?
Well, I don't wear a vest.
Don't you?
No. People
I've
don't wear
seen
vests.
you wearing a vest. You
No.
wore a vest when we used to play the Hen and Chickens. You used
well,
to wear that black Under Armour thing to
Yeah,
stop
yes,
you
but
sweating.
that was only because of perspiration under
Uh-huh.
the hot lights. Now, here's one that applies to me. It might apply to you as well.
Yes.
Trying to talk to your relatives on a hands-free in the car.
Well, you told me the other day you haven't got any relatives.
Well, I've got a mother.
You got a
And-
mother?
And my mum will not... yeah.
Well, I'm sure she's lying to hear from you.
No, my mum will not talk to me
Yeah.
on my phone in the car if it's hands-free.
Really?
She'll just
Why
say, I can't hear you. You
Really?
know, and I'll say, well, it's perfectly clear. No, I cannot hear you.
Well,
My
my mother can't hear anything I say to her, no matter what time I
Right,
call
okay.
her, no matter what type of phone I'm on, because
Yeah.
her hearing's not very good.
And I have to say, although the hands-free is, the panacea to freeing up your time and all
Yeah.
that, it's never quite the same. 'cause
I
the
actually
signals
like
dip
talking on
out.
the hands-free because
Yeah.
it's one of the few places in the world,
Yeah.
if you're on your own in the car,
Yeah.
where you can actually speak relatively freely,
That's
where
right.
there's no outside noise,
Yes.
and where actually you can concentrate on what you're doing.
Yeah, well, maybe you can.
Yeah.
Now, here's one for the ladies. A sign of the fact that their life's too hectic is when you see them putting on their makeup on the train or the bus on the way to work.
Yes.
But I see every lady doing that.
Well, some women
Every
you
lady
see,
does that, don't
you see some women putting their makeup on while they're driving their car,
Yeah.
sitting in traffic,
Yeah,
which
but-
is not always a good idea.
Not a good idea.
No.
What about this one? And I've never tried this because I was told if you did, your hair would drop out.
Uh-huh.
But using dry shampoo instead of washing your hair.
Yes. I know people that do that.
Oh,
I'm not
God.
one of them.
None of them
But
are.
I mean, again, if you have no time at all in your day, it means that you sort of really have to reorganise your life, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Now, here's one for you. Avoiding clothes that you have to hand wash. And I have to say that I've seen some of the jumpers you've worn and worn too often. They're all baggy and saggy because they're these jumpers that you can only softly hand wash in luxury flakes and that kind of stuff.
No, incorrect.
So you don't bother doing them, do you?
No, my cashmere sweaters I put into the dry cleaners to clean.
Really? Well,
And they clean. They
don't look like that.
Not only do they clean the outside of them, but they also clean the inside of them.
Yeah.
Astonishingly.
Well, I go. Now, here's another one which shows that you don't get your life priorities right. Anybody who does all their shopping online is clearly not organised in their life.
That's not true.
Do you know what? In my street now, I can actually tell when one of these things is arriving because the doors on them open and close like sort of, doors on the Jodrell Bank.
The doors on what?
Well, the doors on these delivery wagons for all these online shopping places, they've got a very distinctive
Well, why are they getting
sound.
things delivered from Jodrell Bank?
Well, because they've got very, it's a very clumpy sort of, wow, that is sealed,
Right.
almost like a fridge type. And in the apartment block I live in now,
Yes.
3 arrived in the same day last week. They're taking over the world, they really are.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, how about, talking of clothing, right? How about this for a bizarre tweet from Paul?
Right.
He sent this out to 2 mics. It says, "Dear Mike G, what is that strange shirt you are wearing made of? It looks like Fablon. It has a strange sheen to it. Where did you get it?"
Whose shirt?
This shirt.
It's just an ordinary cotton
Well, it's
shirt.
a cotton
isn't it?
shirt
Yeah.
bought from the shop Pink.
Yeah, nothing.
Right. Quite an expensive shirt.
Certainly.
I think Paul's gone mad.
Certainly nothing exceptional about it.
No.
Right, now here's one here which may apply to us, but it certainly applies to you, may apply to me as well.
Yeah.
Growing your hair long because you don't organise your life properly enough to go and get it cut.
Not true. I grow my hair longer than most
Because you
people
think
do.
you look better?
Because I quite like my hair long.
What's
yeah.
it-
In fact, it has come to the point where I'm going to need to get it cut shortly.
What a fallacy.
So I'm thinking I'll get it cut next week. Well, my hair, unlike yours, is still growing.
Yeah.
You see, your hair has basically stopped growing.
No, mine
you have
grows.
no hair on the top of your head.
Rubbish.
You have some hair growing around the side.
Rubbish.
Would you like me to take a picture and show you?
No, not at all.
Because I can see more of your skin than I can of your hair.
Right, now it says here, anybody who has got their life organised properly has at least a cleaner.
Yeah, well, I've got a cleaner.
You haven't got a cleaner.
No, I have.
No, you haven't.
I have.
Rubbish.
What do you mean I haven't got? Well, how do you know if I've got a cleaner?
Because you've told me sometimes when you've had people coming round, you've panicked
No.
and had to ask people like your daughter to
I
come
don't have
round and
people.
tidy up.
No, I don't have people coming round. I have a cleaner who cleans the place when I ask her to. That's why you got that wrong. Your memory is failing you, along with the rest of your body.
Just dance, gonna be okay. Da-da-doo-doo, just dance. And that record dance. Da-da-doo-doo, just dance. Gonna be okay. Dance.
This is TalkSport. We are the 2 mics. You're listening to the warm-up right here. Of course, we're live from the BetSafe box for the 3rd day of the Star Sixes tournament at the O2 Arena, and it's all underway, Mr. Parry.
Certainly
We've got Nigeria taking on Brazil.
Yep.
Quite a feisty little game to be going on with.
Yes.
We will, of course, be getting some commentary from you very shortly,
Yep.
so you can tell us what the action is actually like and give
Yep.
people a feel for what it's like to be down here overseeing this six-a-side international tournament.
It's fantastic to watch these guys, but I have to say I've already picked up on the Brazil team. There's one guy in the middle who's a bit bold, nearly scored there as well. Brazil just nearly scored. But
Yes.
the number 20 for Brazil down there.
Who's that?
Who is he?
Yeah.
Who is he?
Yeah, who's playing number 20?
Well, it doesn't really matter because I don't really want to identify him because
I see.
I'm going to claim he's carrying a bit of planking there.
Oh, really?
He's looking a bit
You sure it's not
rotund.
Roberto Carlos?
Could be Roberto Carlos.
Yeah.
It is Roberto Carlos.
Yeah.
It's
Is
Roberto
it?
Carlos.
Well done.
Yeah, absolutely right.
No, I
yeah.
don't think it is Roberto Carlos.
It's
Anyway,
not
I'll
Roberto
tell you,
Carlos,
somebody
actually.
talking.
Do you know why?
talking of
I don't
carrying
think
a bit
Roberto
of.
Carlos is on the pitch.
Yeah,
yet.
is he not playing?
I don't think
I
so.
thought he was a captain.
He is the captain,
Have
but
you
I
done
think
any research for this at all?
Hang on, he's a non-playing captain so
Is he?
far. Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
Now, talking about people with a bit of timber on them, somebody's
Yes.
actually put a picture out of you. You say don't wear a vest. A picture
No.
of you in a vest
Oh, let me see.
on top of a chopper bike.
Oh, that was a bit of research.
Was it?
Some years ago.
Yes, okay.
So that doesn't count.
And here's one from a man who says, Mike's head hair hasn't stopped growing. It's coming out of his nose and his ears instead. He's talking about yours.
I mean, honestly, there's really tawdry sort of, communications, which we could do without, thank you.
Okay,
It's
all
a
right.
family show as well.
It is a family show. You've got
Yeah.
to keep very, very careful. Now, why don't you just give us a little bit of commentary
Okay.
while the game is going on?
Okay. So we'll start with a goal kick here, okay?
Yeah.
And it's a goal kick by the
Goalkeeper.
Nigerians. So that's a Nigerian goalkeeper.
Yeah.
A chap called, let me tell you what his name is. He's Peter Rufai.
I thought you were gonna say Putin.
No, Peter Rufai. and he's got it out. But unfortunately, he didn't do very well. The Brazilians have got it now. And there's a dazzling display.
Goal.
Dazzling display.
Goal.
Dazzling display from the boy Baptista, who was in fact the boy who was carrying the planking I was talking about earlier.
So there's Porky Jinks in reverse.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's now scored the goal.
I'm not kidding. That boy, he took 4 Nigerian defenders out with the swivel of his hips and the drop of the shoulder.
Yeah.
And it means Brazil are now 1-0 up. Anyway.
They're turning on a bit of the charm now, the Brazilians.
The Nigerians are determined not to let it get them down. The ball's gone back to the goalkeeper, who I was telling you about earlier.
It's end-to-end stuff.
But all he could do was lump it up to the other goalkeeper.
Yeah.
It's
a bit depressing when you're playing a long ball game.
His name is Dida, by the way.
It's a bit depressing.
Dida, who used to play for AC Milan.
Yeah.
Okay, now Dida's got it out. Now the guy in the middle, the guy with the planking.
Yeah, number 20.
Number 20, he's Baptista. He's good.
Yeah.
He's okay. Doesn't matter if he's carrying a bit of weight. The quality is still
Carlos
there. I
playing.
can tell that. Roberto Carlos playing. Now then, the Nigerians had a great opportunity there. I think it was former Everton hero Yobo.
Yeah.
Passed it to another former Everton hero.
Yobo.
Amakachi.
Yeah.
But between them, they couldn't actually get it sorted. But it doesn't matter. They're on the. Amakachi is on the move again. So is Yobo. Yobo to Amakachi. Amakachi back to Yobo. And then to another Nigerian player.
Another Nigerian player.
Well, the only two I recognise, actually, because they both played for Everton. So they're doing very well indeed.
Yes.
You know,
well, Rivaldo is actually the captain for Brazil.
Rivaldo is the captain for
I'm surprised you
Brazil.
haven't mentioned him.
He's doing well.
Yeah.
He's doing okay.
And Gilberto Silva, who's also playing.
Gilberto Silva is outstanding at the moment.
Former Arsenal, of
looking
course.
very good indeed. Former Arsenal, Balletti is here, of course, former Chelsea player.
That's right.
Gilberto Silva. Elano, who used to play for Manchester City.
Yeah.
I haven't to tell you, the action here is breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking.
It is.
You know?
What I'm interested in as well is that you can kick the ball above head height, because normally in five-a-side, you're not allowed to do that, are you?
You're not, but this is not strictly five-a-side, you see. It's sixes.
Yes, no, I understand that.
So, you know, you've got to understand the interpretation of the rules.
And as I said earlier,
do try and pay attention
to Olivier when he was in Olivier Dacour, that is, not Olivier Giroud. It's
Dacour.
quite a big. It's quite a big pitch. It's quite a lot of running around to be done.
Quite a big pitch. Now, I'll tell you what, you know, these boys run around for 20 minutes. They wouldn't possibly be able to keep this sort of pace for 90 minutes. The Brazilians are getting better.
A few tricks.
Oh, here we go. The Nigerians are through now. They're number
First
2.
touch let him down.
It was a shoulder touch, actually, which ain't good. The ball was coming down.
Yeah.
But the Nigerians are determined. Oh, blimey, why-me. That was a...
Blimey.
Yeah, that's right. That was a very decent strike on goal by... that would have been by Okarcha, JJ Okarcha. We remember him, don't we?
JJ what?
JJ Okarcha.
Okarcha.
JJ Okarcha.
I think that's not the right pronunciation.
He used to
Okarcha.
He used to play for Bolton under Big Sam.
I don't think...
the Brazilians are breaking now. It's out to the right. The boy's coming in. He's putting it back in. No, he's not. No, the goalkeeper.
I don't think Andy Townsend's got much to worry about, to be fair, has he?
In what respect?
In terms of you taking his job as a commentator.
Andy Townsend, first-class man, top commentator. Yeah. No, the point is that the way I do it is interpretively. You know, you don't have to believe everything you see with your eyes, and if you can interpret what's going to happen next, then I think that's my contribution to this.
Now, there's another game coming up, isn't it? Italy are taking on, who are they playing?
Italy, this afternoon, will be taking on somebody like Denmark or France.
Well, France are playing Denmark.
Yeah, France are playing Portugal. China, that's right.
Brazil beat China 7-0, I think.
China girl,
So I'm afraid, I think we'll draw a veil gently over your commentary. Probably about the worst commentary I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, well, who cares about your opinion on those sort of things? I only rely on the flock that I look after and the millions who listen to Talk Sport.
Is that right?
I have to say, I'm astonished at the way that the O2 Arena is filled up. I mean, it's almost sellout. All the boxes are full, the upper tiers full, the lower tiers full. I'm very impressed here, astonishing. Yes. But then the action is so fast and furious that you get more action, really, in this 20 minutes of this game. You're doing 90 minutes of a game where... You know, a lot of it's planning and all that kind of stuff.
Well, we heard when we were talking to a couple of the players earlier on that there are no managers as such, and so the players are kind of managing themselves.
I think that's brilliant. You know that the great teams of like pre-war.
Pre-what war?
Yeah, Arsenal.
Why are you talking about pre-war?
Because they didn't have any managers.
There are people listening to this show who were not alive in the last century.
No, that's right.
Never mind pre-war.
Well, yeah, I know, you're absolutely right.
I think you should stop talking about anything that happened pre-war.
The concept of a manager wasn't even introduced to England until 4 years before the World Cup victory in '66.
Is that right?
Until then, it was a committee. The committee.
Now, I've got a question for you. This is coming from Paul at the Two Mics. Dear
Right.
Mike Parry, I was told you read modern languages at university. Is that true?
No, not true
What
at
did
all.
you study?
I studied
Paul
urban,
in Oxford.
I studied urban estate management, which meant that I became an expert in land use and surveying and property speculation.
Is that right?
Which has helped me out during the course of my life.
And how many properties have you got now?
Well, what does it matter?
Well,
I mean,
because we're always trying to find out.
I have an investment
You
portfolio.
know, because we were saying earlier on the show, we must get into this more. Sebastian Vettel, very secretive man. Nobody even knows if he's married. Nobody really knows what he gets up to in his private life. You are in a similar vein, also very secretive.
I don't think so.
I find it slightly off-putting.
I don't think so. I mean, you're absolutely right. There was a piece reported this morning that whilst Lewis Hamilton is an open book in almost every way, you know, he parties a lot. I don't think he has any interest in alcohol, but he certainly parties a lot and goes around to, you know, these glamorous locations where... Whoa!
Bit of goalmouth action there.
Bit of goalmouth action.
Yeah, you missed that.
Can't describe what it was because I wasn't looking, actually. But it was a roar from the crowd. Put it that
there
way.
was. Yeah, Sam Matterface has nothing to worry about, says Scott.
Yeah.
And Lady Laura, who's on her way to Newmarket, says surely Mike Parry is the worst commentator ever.
That's a very unkind thing to say.
Hilarious radio.
I can't turn my abilities to everything at the same time. Okay.
Well, you can't multitask, is what you want to tell me.
I can multitask, all right, mate. But if I was only commentating on this, I'll tell you what, you get a blazing commentary instead of the Nigerians are in.
Oh, it's a penalty, surely.
No, brilliant bit of goalkeeping. That brilliant bit of goalkeeping.
Where's the referee, by the way?
He's the linesman. He's on the edge.
He's on the edge. Why? What's going on? What's happened to him?
He's joined you
some
too.
trouble at home.
That's
He's
right,
on the edge.
Yeah.
Anyway,
right,
that was possibly the worst commentary of all time.
I thought it was
if you
pretty
can think
good.
of anything worse that you've ever heard, by all means let us know. Brazil might be about to score a second goal
Yeah.
here. There it is.
In fact, they have.
Thank you.
I predicted that.
See, I caught that.
That's my predictive
As it
commentary.
happened.
That's my
As it
predictive
happened.
commentary.
This is
And in
John
fact,
Sport.
that was Ilano.
After half time, that's not a bad score, is it?
Not a bad score. I said that Brazil looked fitter than Nigeria, you know.
Did you?
Nigerians carrying a bit
Well,
of
to be honest,
flanking.
Nigeria struggled to beat China 3-2.
Well, they did, yeah.
And that's a team that Brazil beat 7-0.
Yeah, absolutely,
So I
yeah.
think you might. Juninho scored a goal, by the way, the former Middlesbrough player.
He did indeed. What a great guy he is.
Yes.
Juninho, he was a legend up in on Wearside. He
Dennis
certainly
says
was.
this on Facebook. That dreadful commentary. Please pack it in, Porky.
What?
Dreadful commentary, he says. Please
Yeah,
pack it
but
in.
you see, you can't please everybody
No.
all the time. I've had so many messages from people saying, wow, you need to change profession and get in that commentary box more often, Porky.
Absolutely. Now, how
Yeah.
about this one from Niall, who says, is there not an English grammar schools international legends team? Please, Porky.
Well, I don't think there are enough legends in English grammar schools to form a team
that right?
through the ages. And of course, it's been disbanded now because we ain't got many grammar schools. So I have to say on that one, I think my my position is frozen in history.
Now, Stephen says, I've heard some pitiful commentators, MG, but old Porky sitting next to you takes the biscuit.
No, I don't take the biscuit at all. I thought I was very good. I mean, look how rapidly I identified each player as they took the ball and as they're moving around the pitch. You know,
well, indeed,
some
yes.
100 yards away from me. I mean, that's what I call, the vision of a hawk.
Yes. Dave says, I love the Planks commentary from the Plank boy to that other lad. Wow, goal past that keeper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, it's all like that. Now, listen, how did you get here today?
I drove here.
Drove, right. Okay.
Yeah, how did you get here today?
I came on public transport
Did you?
because I'm a man of the people.
Is that right?
But what I was going to say to you
Wasn't there a strike going on when you were part of the world again?
There is a bit of a strike going on, yeah, I'm afraid. You've just got to cope with it. What I was going to say to you was...
Do you know who's here, by the way? Who's
Who?
going to join us in a little while? Guillaume Balaguer's here. Guillaume
Love him,
Balaguer, who
love
is,
him.
of course, the world's international expert on Spanish football.
Not only that, but I think you'll find he's in the throes of writing a book about your favourite manager, Pep Guardiola.
I thought he's already written one about Pep Guardiola, isn't he?
well,
He's
it's
in the
not
throes
yet.
of writing one about the Spurs manager, I believe.
Mr. Pochettino.
Mr.
Yeah, it could
Pochettino.
be, yeah. But anyway, we'll sort that out before he comes.
Try and get his name right as well, that would be good.
Well, don't worry about that. We'll sort that when he comes here. Now, if you drove here today, right,
Yes.
did you hit any potholes?
Do you know, I didn't actually, because the roads around here are actually quite new.
Not bad,
They're not bad at all.
Yeah.
And down in Sussex, they've actually been repairing potholes
Yeah.
over the course of the last few months.
Yeah, well, they
because
repair-
they've suddenly found some money. I don't know where from.
They don't repair mine in Surrey.
Really?
Now, the reason I'm asking all this is
Yeah.
because I was already aware that cars on the roads in Britain
Yeah.
do actually have increased resistance to potholes built into the manufacture of the car.
Is that right?
Yeah, literally, the suspension is adjusted one way or the other for cars in Britain because we now notoriously have a reputation abroad for having potholes,
Well, I'll
right?
tell you what drives me mad more than potholes, and I presume this is part of the resistance that they're building in, is for all the speed bumps that you hit. I mean, we were talking about Formula One the other day. Are they going to race in the City of London? Are they going to turn it into a street,
absolutely.
A street race course, right?
Yeah.
The problem would be that there's not just potholes, but there's speed bumps everywhere.
You're absolutely right. Now, in addition to the suspension toughening up, which you already knew about, now Michelin, the internationally famous company who produce tyres,
yes, as in the Michelin Guide, the Michelin Man,
are producing a wheel to put their tyres on that cannot be wrecked by potholes.
Right. Well, maybe you should get some of those wheels because you've had about 65 punctures since you've had that car.
Got about 7.
By the way, the game's ended. I don't know what you were doing talking about half time. There is no half time.
No.
There's no half time.
No, you told me.
No, they just play for 20 minutes.
No, you see, you give me a bum steer again. You try and lure me into.
I blame the producers.
Yeah, well,
that
anyway,
guy Olivier.
It's 20 minutes and it's all over. And it's 3-0 to Brazil.
Brazil have won.
Another game coming up. On this pothole thing, and I've got to get you sorted on this, right?
Yeah, all right.
It's called the Michelin Acorus alloy. It's been developed over the past 2 years. It's got rubber built into the metal casing of the wheel.
Right.
Which means that flanges built directly into the metal rim where it meets the tyre cushion the impact from potholes.
Is that right?
These flanges absorb impacts when the wheel strikes the pothole and nullifies the damaging capability.
Do you think anyone's interested
I
in
think
this?
everybody. I think people are fascinated.
Really?
I'm telling you. And do you know where I found this?
Well,
I
how
found
much
this in
are
one of
these-
my motoring journals?
Oh, really? Well, how much are these wheels going to cost if you want to put them on your car?
Hundreds of pounds.
Hundreds?
Yeah, but it's worth it if you don't wreck your wheel in a pothole.
Yeah, but you
isn't
haven't
it,
wrecked, have you wrecked your wheel? Have you ever wrecked your wheel in a car that you've driven?
I have not.
No, neither have I.
I did once when I was at the Chester Chronicle because I was driving the company Mini.
Oh, you wrecked the whole car? Is that the one you drove over the roundabout?
No, that was my own first car. No, I was driving the company Mini and I turned right a bit late. Well, quite late.
When you say late, what do you mean?
Well, I didn't even see it, so I went straight through a railing opposite and I didn't...
You're one of the worst. Alan Brazil's right.
Yeah.
You're like Mr. Magoo the way you drive.
Not really, but it broke both wheels, unfortunately.
It did.
And I had to have it taken to the garage, and I checked it in as 2 burst tyres. But in fact, it was 2 burst tyres, 2 broken wheels, and a smashed suspension.
I mean, did you not get into any trouble for that?
Yeah, quite a lot, but I didn't admit to it being me. I said
the
well,
car was stolen.
No,
No, that's another crime.
No, I didn't say the car was stolen. I said, I just gently went over the curb. And the tyre burst. And they said, but both tyres have burst. I said, yeah, I kind of went over the pavement.
Unbelievable.
Sort of
I mean,
head
you must
on.
have wrecked more cars than most people have ever owned.
I could have done, I don't know.
Now, let me just tell you, the final score was indeed, as you say, Brazil 3, Nigeria 0.
I knew it.
What that
got
means
it absolutely right.
is that Brazil qualified for the quarterfinals.
Well, there you go. Isn't it great?
Now, coming up next, we've got another match for you to do a bit of commentary on.
Yeah, great.
Italy are going to be playing.
Oh, I love
Do you know
the
who they're
Italian
playing?
way of football. Hey?
Do you know who they're playing?
Italy, I can tell you now. Italy are playing China.
China, who are not very good.
They're not very
so
good
I'm expecting a bit of a goal fest.
I think that's going to be a massacre.
Alessandro Del Piero,
I tell you what,
who we spoke to a while ago.
Alessandro.
He's playing, you know.
He is playing, and I can't wait to get onto the commentary desk on that one because I reckon I'm going to report at least 4 goals.
Well, Italy lost their first game to Brazil, 2-1.
Yeah.
They won their second game against Nigeria 2-1.
That's right.
So, they need to win this, and they probably will.
Yeah, I think
and
they will.
they'll probably go through to the semi-final, quarterfinals as well.
I totally agree with you. Totally agree. Now, next time we're trying to get from Manchester to Leeds.
Well, why would we be doing that?
Well, in case we're, doing a show one.
Well, don't you go on the
Manchester
M62?
one day. Well, you do. And how long would that take you?
I've never driven from Manchester to Leeds, but I would imagine if there's no traffic, you could do it in about 45 minutes.
No, you couldn't. No, but at about an hour and a bit, I'd say. But
I could do it in 45.
But on a normal day with traffic, an hour and a half.
Yes.
Okay. Now, guess what?
What?
I'm aware of the fact that we are developing a tube in which
we're developing a tube here at Talk Sport as well.
Well, I'm not going to write.
How's it coming? Hello.
I'm not going to write that, you idiot. It's a vacuum tube in which you get onto a vehicle, which is then sucked across the country. This is being built. Sorry, what's your problem?
Why would you do that?
Why don't you just listen? Because it takes 12 minutes to get from Manchester to Leeds.
What, you would be sucked from Manchester to Leeds?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes, in 12
Absolute
minutes.
Rubbish.
No, you do. You get into...
What a load of rubbish.
You get into...
Why wouldn't you blow? Surely that would be better.
There's a vacuum at the other end.
Yeah.
And as soon as they open the valve and the vacuum is sucking,
right.
the tube...
Is it only one car at a time, or does it bring a whole load of them across?
it only takes 12 minutes, so it's every 12 minutes.
Why don't you just get on a train then?
It's
They
like
could
a
suck
train.
a whole train.
It's like
and
a
then
train. It is like it's like a
about
train
200
carriage.
people could get there in 12 minutes.
It's like a train carriage.
Yeah.
It's like a train carriage.
Sounds bad.
And it's, yeah, what's happening
Sounds
here?
bonkers. Well, there's another game coming up.
Oh, yeah, that's right,
What's
yeah.
happening here?
There's a
We
lot
are
of,
at the O2. It is a football tournament.
A lot of
Star
cheerleader
Six.
ladies jumping up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually very good.
Yeah.
Now, this tube I've got to tell you about, it's been developed in Los Angeles.
Is it?
They've
Oh, the
already
tube's out there.
they've already developed it and tested it, and it works
Yeah.
in the Death Valley Desert.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll be great.
Yeah, it will be. You will get from Manchester to Leeds in 12 minutes.
Rubbish.
That is the future.
And when is this going to happen exactly?
It's going to happen soon.
Soon.
Yeah.
Well, in the next 5 years?
Biggest development in transport since the Wright brothers. Yeah.
This is the wrong brothers
You-
doing this.
no, you know what they did?
Yeah, they invented flying.
They did. They invented
Yeah.
the aeroplane.
Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind?
You're listening to the warm-up on Talk Sport, live from the BetSafe box for the third day of the Star Sixes tournament at the O2 Arena. Italy have just gone 1-0 up against China. We've got a fantastic guest. We've had great guests all the way through the show. We've
certainly
now
have.
got a man who could quite legitimately be called the legend of La Liga.
He knows everything.
He does know everything. He's,
About
of course,
everything.
Guillaume Balaguer. He's been away on holiday, amazingly. Let's talk to Guillaume Balaguer, who is here. Guillaume, welcome to the O2 Arena. How are you enjoying the legends of the past playing? It's quite good to see them again, isn't it?
It's good, and you know what? It's amazing is the attitude of the fans, but of the players themselves.
Yeah.
They've just been mixing with each other.
Right.
When you ask them about how seriously you're taking this, the first answer is joking, but the second one is like, we want to win this.
Right.
So no, it's just been they all been amazed by the quality of the squads, and it's becoming very competitive.
And Gordon, don't you think that as the world moves on and people are living longer and, you know, we've got an ageing population, footballers are going to play longer. And maybe you could focus that on the Rooney situation where everybody said, well, hang on, he's only 31.
Yeah, no doubt. And this is a concept for players that maybe some have retired or just been 2 or 3 years away from the game. It's a very entertaining showbiz. So you do have. I think I've heard somebody saying that Julio Batista is probably the man of the tournament, but he really has been playing until about 5 months ago, and he's looking for a team as well. So some of them are still very, very fit.
Well,
Yeah,
Phil
absolutely.
Neville was in here in the first hour of the show, looking
Yeah.
incredibly fit.
Oh,
and it seemed like
unbelievable.
it's a bit unfair when you saw somebody, no offence to Olivier Dacour,
No.
but who's now commentator himself, and he hasn't
Yes.
played, he says, for several years. And he's like, it's not really fair for me to play against
No.
these guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, welcome to the boss, Guillaume, and the first thing I want to talk about is your book on Mr. Pochettino, because unless I'm out of kilter and all this kind of stuff, the sale of their fullback for £50 million, is this an indication that they've done a brilliant job with their new ground, and, you know, Mr. Levy there, the chairman, does a great job. Naming rights seems to have stalled. Are they in need of money?
Do you think? I'll ask you back. Do you think that Spurs would have sold Walker if they wanted to not to sell him? You think they would have sold him if they didn't want to sell him?
Well, I don't know what's going on in the
There are plenty of
background.
Spurs
I'm pretty
fans.
sure
yeah,
they
there are
wouldn't
plenty-
have sold him.
Plenty of
if they
Spurs
didn't
fans
want to.
who would say he's not really even going to start. If he'd stayed with them, he's not going to start most of the games in the new season.
Well, I'm not sure because this last season actually has been most of the games are played by him, but the big games, I think Arsenal, Chelsea were Trippier, and he did really, really well.
Right.
So there was a good competition going on, but if Spurs say somebody comes with 50 million for Eric Dyer, say Manchester United, they'll say no because they don't need to sell. So Walker had a price. They feel that there's a lot of confidence in Trippier.
Yeah.
They probably will get somebody else to push him, and I think the three parts are happy with this deal.
Is there a certain inevitability about the Premier League as well? So, for example, if players get good enough or big enough that Real Madrid will come for them or Barcelona will come for them?
But at the moment, maybe Real Madrid can compete in the market with Premier League teams, maybe with one or two, but Barcelona cannot compete with the Premier League. So it's becoming more like if the Premier League comes along, Barcelona go and get somebody else. You can see it in Semedo. They signed Semedo for 30 million euros, a right back who's not even a regular in the lineup of Portugal, because they were looking for other alternatives, Bellerin namely, and it's like Arsenal have said, no, we don't need to sell, we don't want to sell.
Okay, have we got some great revelations coming out in your Pochettino book? I mean, you obviously...
Well,
you
he
wanna
can't
sell
tell
the
us
book.
now, can he?
Well, no, but you can
Otherwise,
tease
they
us.
wouldn't be a surprise.
But you can tease us.
It was an interesting one because obviously Pochettino, his CV says potentially a great manager. He's working towards being one of the greats, I think. He's already one of the top 5.
But he should have won the Premier League title in one of the last 2 seasons, really.
If you're talking about a club that has got the 6th in terms of wages, who cannot compete in the market with the others, I think they're overachieved. I'm looking at it in a different point of view.
Yeah.
But in this book, I didn't want to get bored myself, so instead of doing as I've done with the others, I've done a diary of the season with his own words.
Yeah.
So he's taken us throughout the season, last season, and there's a lot of detail that I've enjoyed transcribe it, and others that I've got from other part of all the assistants to his, and I think people may be surprised to see how it works inside the camp, how you run a team in the Premier League.
Yeah. And I mean, interestingly, we were talking about Barcelona there and Real Madrid, of course. I mean, Ronaldo, after we said this last week jokingly, that once he hears that Messi is now on £1 million a week, he's going to go to somebody and say, well, if you give me £1 million and £1, then I'll come and play for you. Possibly Manchester United, he might return. What's his reaction been to Messi getting such an incredible deal?
Well, he's quite, at the moment, disturbed by the whole tax situation.
Oh, another goal's gone in for Italy.
There you go.
2-0.
2-0 Italy.
Di Canio, of course.
Yeah.
So I think he's more worried about that than anything else.
Paolo Di Canio. Paolo
Ian
Di
just said
Canio.
that. He just said that.
That's why I thought I'd start singing. Paolo Di Canio.
There's only 2 players in the whole tournament that got the chanting from the fans. One was Paolo Di Canio, the other one was Roberto Carlos, who came on yesterday even though he was injured because the fans wanted him to see him.
Sure.
But yes, I mean, Cristiano's...
China's got one back.
Hey!
Porky, you're not on the ball here at all.
Come
you're
on.
missing all of it.
Come on, that was China in my hand.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Cristiano got really upset, as you all know, and uses people to say through the Portuguese media, I'm gone, that's it.
Yeah.
No, don't want to be in Spain anymore, don't want to be with Real Madrid anymore. But he's relaxed, and not only because there is nobody putting the kind of money that he needs to actually go somewhere else, but also because he realized that where else is he going to go. So Real Madrid are quite confident, and the players of Real Madrid are quite confident that he's staying.
And what about Gareth Bale? Because we were always told as well, and you always, you take the mixed messages from Marco and you try and figure out exactly what's going on. But there was a time when Gareth Bale was thought to be the kind of the heir to the throne when Ronaldo finally moved away, but he hasn't moved anywhere.
No, partly his injuries have injured him a little bit.
Yeah.
He's planning to stay. There's no intention of him going, but it's good for him and people around him, I guess, that the name of Manchester United gets mentioned every now and again, but he's got no intention of moving from Real Madrid.
Okay, now we're not talking Everton anymore, but we will talk about is it Rodriguez. Sandro. Right now
from Malaga.
Malaga, absolutely right. Now, for £5.9 million, my spies in Spain. You've probably got better spies in Spain than me, but my spies in Spain...
He's actually in Spain, so you don't need to have a spy there.
Can you just shut up while I'm having a dialogue, please, with Guilhem, my pal? I'm telling you that I think he could be the surprise and bargain buy of the next Premier League season.
He is already, and he will be. There's nobody that's going to cost, of that quality, that's going to cost 5.9 million, no doubt. For me, is another Rooney.
Yeah, Rooney?
A Rooney.
Really?
He can...
He was terrific in the under-21s.
At his age, better movement than Rooney. Rooney wanted the ball all the time, and he plays off the ball. He has been at Barcelona for many years.
Another
Italian goal, 3-1. Paolo Di Canio.
Sorry,
So he's got a powerful shoot from outside the box. He's a goal scorer, works really hard off the ball. He could just be a sensation. So
could Everton really not have to look for a very expensive striker to replace Lukaku if they've now got this boy, Sandro Ramirez, who you've spoken up very well, and they've got Wayne Rooney?
Yeah, but they need somebody. They need somebody to fix the centre-backs. These two guys are different kind of players.
Yes.
Rooney can play off a striker, so can Sandro.
Right. You're right.
It'd be good to have somebody, Yakubu seems to be in good form as well, but maybe it's too late for him.
You've got anybody in mind who Everton should take as a big striker to replace? Is Benteke going to, make a resurrection? Or?
I'm not sure what they're aiming for, but certainly in terms of Sandro, where you've got somebody that will score goals, there's one but for me.
Yeah.
He needs to feel important. He needs to play regularly. He needs to have everybody backing him up, because when he was at Barcelona, he didn't feel that, and he became very, very very small. His confidence suffered. But at Malaga, he did completely the opposite, and I think he's ready to just be important for Everton.
Yeah, and when you're at a huge club like Barcelona, I mean, Deulofeu was the same fate, really, wasn't he? Didn't really feel important anywhere and all that kind of stuff.
No, he's going back now, so we'll see
I know,
how he deals
for
with
10
that.
million quid, I thought that was quite a remarkable deal.
Yeah, just because there was a buy clause for Barcelona, buy back clause.
Yeah, okay.
So
Now,
we'll
we've
see.
been talking, I suppose, over the last season, and certainly looking at the Premier League managers and the list of them now, that if the best players perhaps in the world are not coming here, the best managers are coming here. However, Dani Alves went to PSG, said to Pep Guardiola at Manchester City, sorry, I want to win some titles, and he doesn't think Pep's going to do that. And also, are we ever going to see Diego Simeone in the Premier League?
Well, in terms of Alves, I think he was sending the same WhatsApps to Pep Guardiola and to Unai Emery. Yes, I want to come. Yes, definitely in love with you. Yes, you're going to make my career go with where I want it to go. But then at the end, it was Paris plus money. Not so much the lack of fighting for titles. I think it was money and Paris which took him to Paris. And about Simeone, he wanted to stay with Atletico Madrid, go into the new stadium as he's going to do. And then his contract finishes next summer, if I'm not mistaken. It was a 2-year deal for him after he changed it. And that means that next it will be up to the ambition of Atletico Madrid. If they can keep it going, then he will stay. Otherwise, he wants to go either to the Premier League or to Italy.
I'd love to see him at Arsenal.
He's been learning. Why Arsenal?
Why would you have seen
Just because I think if Arsene Wenger finally does move away, which he'll have to do soon, maybe in a year or two, I just think he could transform the club into something a bit more aggressive, a bit more kind of attacking.
What do you do with what Arsene Wenger has been doing with Arsenal? Because these managers about something completely different.
Yes, that's what I think they need.
Different.
But they need a harder edge. They need to be able to go into the Champions League with the view that they can win it rather than just go
but then
out.
You have to change the whole squad because the squad has been built to be dominant, to be protagonist on the pitch, to pass the ball, that kind of thing. And Simeone doesn't want that.
No.
So
I'd love to see an Arsenal that were getting players around the throat and threatening them and playing in a more violent way.
Why have you suddenly got this sudden affection for Arsenal?
Willem's
just told you you're talking absolute garbage.
I think Arsenal have been underachieving for so long that Arsene Wenger needs to shove off.
That's very interesting.
And what is wrong with you?
Why
are you being so rude?
Why you suddenly become this passionate? I'd love to see this happen to Arsenal.
Well, because I would. Because I would.
Yeah, ludicrous.
What's the score, by the way?
Ludicrous. The score?
Yeah.
What's
Give us an update on the score.
What's that going to do with it?
You don't know, do you?
Of course I know, but I'm not going to, fall into your stupid little trap about let's find out what the score is.
You just sit there and have another beer.
To get you out of the hole that you just dug yourself in, because you know nothing about Arsenal. Guillem has made it absolutely clear that you are a juicehead when it comes to talking about Arsenal.
Thank you. Guillem, I'm terribly sorry
Better
about
go
this.
now.
You should probably leave before he gets any more obnoxious. Talk Sport, we are the two mics. We're at the O2 Arena. We're watching Italy taking on China in the Star Sixes, of course.
This is exciting. This is getting very exciting.
Well,
this
the game. What's the score now?
3-2.
3-2, is it?
Italy 3, China 2.
Let me read you a couple.
No, hang on, wait a minute. What is it? It's a 4-2.
It's 4-2.
4-2. It's
Jack,
very
you've
exciting.
missed the fourth Italian goal.
No, I didn't miss the fourth
Any idea
Italian
who
goal.
scored it?
Yeah, Del Piero.
Oh, look, the ball's just been kicked very, very high into the stands.
Yeah.
Unusually. It is coming back, though. Nobody's stolen it. That's always good.
No, the game's over.
What?
It's over. It's over. It's finished.
What do you mean it's finished?
Finito.
4-2.
Yeah.
That's the final result.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I just told you.
Let me give you some more appreciation of your fine commentary. Pete says this: has Porky considered cricket commentary? He could ramble on for 6 hours a day for 5 days.
That's very harsh, isn't it?
It's very good, though.
Looking at that China side, by the way, they're not the underdogs we thought they were. I thought outstanding contributions from Yang Feng.
Who?
Yang Feng.
Yang Feng.
Yang Feng.
Yeah.
From Zhen Yonghuang.
Who do they play for, these guys?
Well, he plays for Shenzhen Ping'an Keijian.
Okay.
And also, I thought old Pengi Weigu, who was the... Pengi Weigu. He's the Chinese goalkeeper.
Is he?
Who plays for Guangzhou Apollo.
Okay.
I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah. Tremendous.
I think
Sadly, I presume China will be going out because I don't think they've actually won a game, have they?
I think he might be related to to his right back, because the goalkeeper is called Peng Weiguo.
Yeah.
And the right back is called Peng Weijun.
Really?
So they're pretty close in name.
Well, that could not necessarily mean they're related. How about this from Tom? I think Bungle from Rainbow would do a better commentary than Porky.
That's very
Hashtag
nice.
Plank. And Joshua, though, says, I actually prefer Mike Parry's commentary to that of Michael Owen.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not saying very much.
Yeah, well, so do I. But I mean, I would say that, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
I think Michael Owen gets a very.
He's
unfair-
playing in this tournament.
Yeah, he is, and I think gets a very unfair, retort from the fans.
Paul
in
says
those
this,
sort of
Porky's
things.
commentary was so bad I thought he was doing it underwater. It was slow, nasal and utterly lacking in nuance.
Yeah, I think that's...
I don't think Paul gets it really, does he?
I think it's very unkind.
Yeah.
I'm astonished at the number of people who've turned up today. I'm looking at the huge stands which tower up into the sky from the BetSafe box that we're in at the moment, and I couldn't believe it. It attracted so many people. But the nicest thing is what we said earlier. There's so many little kids here who are running around having such a great day and a great time. And 20 minutes is just enough football for youngsters of that age not to get bored. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely right.
Yeah.
And also, they'd be seeing players that their fathers and mothers were telling them about that they may never have seen actually when they were playing, full time for their clubs.
Well, people still get football magazines and all that. And they read about the legends and see the legends of the past. Now,
I have to say, children don't read magazines.
Well,
they read everything online now.
They read everything online, that's it, right, yeah. Now, I seem to be getting quite a bit of stick from people who doubt the veracity of my report on the sucking tube from
people are asking if you read the piece in the Times properly.
No, I didn't read a piece in the Times.
You seem to have got it all the wrong way round and all round your ears, as usual.
No, I haven't read a piece in the Times. However, we have some highly intelligent and well-read people here at Talk Sport.
Yeah.
So I was delighted that our chief engineer today came up to me and said, Mike, you're absolutely right. It's called the Hyperloop.
Yes.
Right.
It's an Elon Musk project. And who is Elon Musk?
Elon Musk is the guy who's invented the electric car.
Exactly. So he should be your nemesis. But instead, of course, you're now very much in admiration of Elon Musk because he's a fantastic entrepreneur. He's a brilliant inventor.
Yeah.
He's a man of the future. And if you had a meeting with Elon Musk, he would castigate you down into the depths of despair for your ridiculous flat Earth mentality that electric cars are going to kill the planet.
Yeah, well, they are. Now, can I just tell you this? I'm not going to give you a new report every day on the amount of people who say there's not enough electricity on Earth.
I don't care.
On Earth, never
care.
mind in Britain, to power 80% of the cars in this country by electricity. It's impossible.
Well, we can switch off all the lights in your house and you probably power half the electric cars that are going around London at the moment.
Now, talking about people and transport and those who I start to despise madly, now, Cambridge is mostly made up of students, you agree?
Mark Saggins from Cambridge.
Is he? Okay, good for him. Well, he wasn't a Cambridge student. He's not that bright.
Good for him?
Well, he's not that bright.
I don't think you should attack Mark Saggins.
I'm not attacking Mark Saggins. Mark's a great guy, good at his job, but he would never have got into Cambridge University.
I don't think you're right about that. I don't think he did go to Cambridge, but he's from Cambridge.
Yeah. Now, most of Cambridge is to do with academica, and most of the students drive around on push bikes.
Do they?
So they haven't converted roads into cycle superhighways because the bikes have always been there. But get this, for a sheer impudent and arrogant attitude towards life, all these Cambridge students, riding out on their bikes. The bikes are getting more and more expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And some of them, because they come from privileged homes, are now riding around on bikes. They've got an engine with them as well. You know, those Cycle C bikes.
Oh, well, you mean those things advertised on the television?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that kind of
If
stuff.
you start pedalling, it kicks in with an electric motor. You can actually start going quite fast.
That's absolutely right. Now, as a result, these pompous students...
Seen the time, by the way. We're nearly out of here.
Don't worry about it. These pompous students are going to the city authorities and say, look, these ancient streets of Cambridge, which have been around since the 1300s, when the colleges were first initiated,
I would imagine, no?
maybe 900, maybe 900,
Roman times.
maybe Roman times. They would all like them now to be tarmacked over, because their new bikes are getting so expensive. They don't want them damaged by riding them over cobbles all the time.
Right.
And of course, students are getting heavier than they used to be when those cobble roads were built 2,000 years ago. I think it's an arrogant imposition on the culture and the quality of life in Cambridge. And if I was on the Cambridge Council, I'd say push off. If you don't like it, leave, go somewhere else, or do something like walking instead of riding your bikes on cobbled streets. The cobbled streets are saying, the bikes, you can stop them, okay?
There's another team coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Who is it this time?
Right, let's have a look. It's, let me see. Yeah, I know that is. I think it's probably somebody like Portugal.
Somebody like Portugal?
Somebody like Portugal, yeah.
Sure they're in it?
Portugal's definitely in it.
I'm
yeah.
not sure they are.
Right.
Anyway, that's up. We're out of time.
Well, who is it then?
We're out of time, I'm afraid.
It's not Germany.
If you find it's not Germany,
It's not
if you find
Mexico.
out who it is, do by all means let us know. We are down at the O2. It's been fabulous. Thank you very much to the team from BetSafe. Thank you to all of our production team as well. Thank you to my two sons, Christopher and Oliver, who've sat here very patiently.
And been very helpful
eating
as
and
well.
drinking everything they can get their hands
Yes.
on. We'll be back tomorrow from 11 o'clock for the Sunday warm-up.
We certainly will.
And I'm just going to read you one final text right here. It's from Scott. It says, I can't stop laughing. Porky says, this game's getting very exciting. 3 seconds later, the final whistle goes.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
This has been Talk Sport
I'm
and
on the ball.
Two Mics. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. The warm-up with the two mics on Talk Sport.
Shut up before you get into more trouble.